On the inside is number 32 on Midway. He'll be on row 6 is 43 Steve Sheetham is 43 Sammy Venables starts car. Sammy Venables starts car 70. On the 7th row, number 14 is Chris Freeman. The 6th car is Chris Freeman, and the 6th car will be started by on row 8. It's number 42. On row 8, it's number 42. Side him, 22. That's Luke Brown. Side him, 22. That's Luke Brown. On row 9, it's the 179 car. On row 9, it's the 179 car of David Gooding, and the 12 car of Scott Parkin. On row 10, it's 27 and 20. It's 27 and 5, I should say. 27 and 5 is Mark Rice. The wheel is Mark Rice. The wheel of that one. Then on row 11, it's then on row 11. It's 91 is Chris 4 or Chris Plaskett. Is Chris 44 is Plaskett by Stuart David. 4 is on the 12th row. It's 51 Luke Handley. 12th row, it's 13 Luke Handley, and the 13 Matt Fazy starting the race. Matt Fazy. On the 13th row, it's going to be 7. On the 13th row, it's going to be 7 Julian McBride. Then on row 14, it's then on row 14, it's the 191 car, the 63 car of Owen, and the 63 car being on the 15th row, it's 166 Nicole Drow, it's 166 Nicole Driver, and 16 Phil Driver. On the 16th row, it's 50 on the 16th row, which is going to be by someone who is sharing with who is sharing with me, and the 881 car starting the 881 row, starting 17th row, it's going to be number on the 17th row, it's going to be number 15 side, 15 on the Collins side, and 15 Colin Gillespie. Then on row 18, then on row 18 now, 8 Martian is going to be started by Martin Martian, number 76 Michael Down. On the 19th row, it's 101. On the 19th row, it's 101. That's going to be Nick to start off with. The 10 car is going to be Rob Henry. That's going to be him. Then on the 20th row, it's 130. Then on the 20th row, it's by Luca Diella. That's going to be started by Luca Diella. And 235 is going to be started by Joel. On the 21st row, it's 188. 21st row, it's 488. Greg Kelly. Christie. 481. Edward Christie. Then on row 22, it's the 58. On row 22, it's the 58 car. That's been started by Michael Jones. And 3 on the 3rd row has 26 Jonathan Hayes, 66 Jonathan Hayes, and then on row 24, it's 97. And then on row 24, it's 97, 192 Connell, Darren, and 192 Darren. And on row 25 on the inside, on row 25 on the inside, it's number 888, should say, which is 888 Matt Dennis, which is number 4 is Dennis. And number 4 is Reece on row 26. It's number 23. On row 26, it's number 23. James Miller. 7 is going to be started by George Heer. 7, and then at the back started by George Heer. And then at the back qualified, it's going to be Joe Sessions. It's going to be Joe Williams. So let's now take a short break before we head down to business for the first TQR ClubEnduro race of the year. So the rolling lap underway for the opening round of the 2022 TQR ClubEnduro Championship. Pole position then on his own for the whole race is going to be Carl Swift, Josh, and well, that adds a different dimension to things, doesn't it?
Well, in some ways, with an upper weight perhaps not, because him and Rob Baker are usually pretty evenly matched. The only other thing is that Swift will drive a bit longer than what actually normally would do, but I doubt it'll make too much of a difference, as it might come from a different driver duo. And with Alpha Live for the 2022 ClubEnduro Championship, we have onboard cameras here.
Yeah, we do. The number 13 car, we can see there, that's the car being started by Matt Facey, the self-prepared Porsche Cayman. He shared with Steve Hewson, who won their respective class championships, and Steve Hewson won it overall in 2018, so that's one of our onboard cars. The other onboard car is the Class A 43 Porsche Boxster of Steve Cheetham, so I hope you see that during the course of this race, but a very varied grid, as you can see. 53 cars we should have on it. There's the last couple of them at the back. The last car is that car that had that problem in qualifying, Joe Williams in the Golf. The infringement meant that he was put to the back of the grid in the number 99.
That's right, fantastic looking grid this is though for this 2 hours and 5 minutes motor race. A capacity grid of 53 cars on this Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. 3 classes based on power to weight ratio. A pit stop in quite a big short middle part of the race, 30 minutes to 110 minutes into the race, and each pit stop has to be 3 minutes, and there's just one car on circuit that will have to also serve a penalty for having a professional racing driver, and that will be the 179, which is started by David Goody, but Nigel Greenstall will be getting into that.
Yeah, I mean that's based on the official definition of professional as per the championship regulations, but there are some other very talented and experienced drivers in there, possibly not always having done as much circuit racing recently, but you see, for example, the number 11 car, which is starting on row 3. We've got Adam Blair in there, former British Formula 3 Championship driver, Porsche Carrera Germany driver as well in the early 2000s, so he's not raced at very high levels recently.
Just running forward, there was another former champion, that was Steve Cheetham, and we will have more views of that over the course of this race. And here is Matt Facey then, having his first run in this Steve Hewson run, driven and built Cayman. The race is about to get underway.
Safety car heels in then, 125 minutes of racing around Donington Park for the TQR ClubEnduro Championship. Get underway now, lights have gone out and away we go, and it's Carl Swift and Andy Martin then, but it's Martin that's made the best of the start, or has he? Swift goes down the inside into Red Gate corner for the first time. Big grid of cars, they're still coming out of Goddard as the leader already at Hollywood. It is such a huge field that we have. They're still coming out, and I think that's finally it. But there we go, it's the Carl Swift car leading, and it's Martin in second place.
And you mentioned Adam Blair, he's third already, I think, from 6th. Martin's car, they had a bit of fluid coming out, I think it's just where it's overfilled, but there's cars almost on the grass there coming down in 40 old there, it's very busy, but for second place, here comes Adam Blair then in the Audi TT, right on turns with Andy Marston, who's been a winner in ClubEnduro races in the past, got the little Lotus Everly and Midway being absolutely brought by all the cars around him, but he just about managed to squeeze through. Here's Steve Cheetham, who's chasing after the David Griffin car. There's another, the Lotus is actually Exceed Cup car just in front of the 13 car. That's passed off by Matt Facey. You've also got David Goodin, D36 M3 involved in all of that. And here's the Midway Griffin and Sammy Venables with that newly built BMW M4. That's a car to be built by the Elite Motorsport team. And down there we've got, there's Goodin under pressure from Julie McBride, the newly livery E46 M3. So a busy first lap of the race that we've come to expect from the TQR ClubEnduro races, but it's not all good for everybody.
No, and that is the number 4 Reese Lysett car making the switch from F1000, showing with ex-rallyman Steve Brockington in They've put together a Progress Racing entry. It's not gone well for that car so far. Might be an early pit visitor. So end of lap 1. Then Carl Swift it is that leads by 1.23 seconds from Andy Martin in second place. Adam Blair is in third. Steve Laidlaw is in fourth position in the number 100 Seat Leon TCR car as well, the Yorkshire team. And then in fifth place it's the 49 car, which is the Ron Stacey Lotus Elise.
Right, big puff of smoke there at the start of the E90 entry of David Griffin. He hasn't had the best of start. He started 5th. He's dropped to 9th behind Leon Vidre's Lotus Exige. There, Adam Blair in that fantastic looking Audi TT. Here's Will Stacey in the upgraded Lotus Elise. He was winner in this meeting a year ago in Class B. He now runs in Class A and he's running up there in 5th position. As the field flow their way through it, free and break through Cobbett's corner, through the middle goes Leon Vidre. He was getting past Matthew Hampson there and trying also to pass David Griffin, but then the Lotus doesn't have the power down the straights. It equalises out on power to weight ratio, so the lighter weighted cars will be quick through the corners, but the bigger, more powerful cars obviously quicker down the straights, and Leon Vidre manages to just about keep Sammy Venables at bay.
Lot of speed. This is being carried by Steve Cheetham. This what is it? The number 43 Boxster. You can see the hydration system he's got on board there as well, which will be needed because he's driving that car solo for 125 minutes. The man from Manchester.
And Vidre, they're under pressure. He's in the middle of a three-wide back there almost with Steve Cheetham. There's the Audi coming through just behind. That car was started by Mark Rice. They qualified 19th and they've got up to 15th by the end of the first lap. The Audi RS3. We haven't seen many of these races in the UK. It's great to have it here in the ClubEnduro Championship. Not great for everybody, including the Volkswagen Sirocco. This car that's come from from Eastern Europe. Stuart Mead has been involved in the incident.
Yeah, it looks like there's been a touch there, doesn't it, with the BMW. Also in shot there, which I think was the Jonathan Barrett Saxon Motorsport car number 7, quite possibly. 63 car for Stuart Mead, to say the 1992 European Supercard champion has come to grief there as well, which has with the very experienced John Maudsley.
Yeah, that's the car they've only got recently. As I said, that's a Eastern European touring car that they've brought over this year. Car number 10 there, around the outside with Robert Fennick, who is sharing with Beach Dean's Andrew Howard for this race, and he's come up through the order, it seems, at the start of this race.
Yeah, so we've got those two cars stranded there at the Melbourne hairpin, so
safety car.
I was about to anticipate that might be required, but there we see the flag on screen and the board as well. Safety car is out. This is too early for pit stops, of course, because the pit lane window isn't open yet, and it doesn't open until we've had 30 minutes.
That's right, so we're a little way away from that. So the first appearance, I think, is... Oh, we had the right course, didn't we?
We did.
But first appearance at the beginning of the race, anyway, for the 750 Motor Club safety car. So Rob Baker will be picked up by that. So there's just a lap car that will have to be waved through. But then Rob Baker in that Seat Leon Cupra TCR. I think that's the same car they raced last year, because that's in a different livery. It looks like the newer type of Seat. I can't be sure of that. I might get confirmation.
Not had any information provided specifically on that car. Some encouragement for Ben Rushworth on the YouTube comments. He is running in 6th place at the moment in the Seat. His first time out in ClubEnduro. The hot patch champion from a couple of years ago sat out the last couple of years due to the hassle and the boom of his own business. So good news that Ben's business is going well. Machina Motorsport.
He's been invited along, hasn't he, by Coulton Miller to run that car. I think he shares it with former Time Attack racer James Ramsden. And Ben Rushworth is currently in 6th, where he qualified in 8th. He gained a couple of places at the start there, and his lap times are is quicker than 2 cars in front, so they won't be able to make progress once this safety car period is over. But there's rescue units down there at the Melbourne Loop. There'll be a few moments before we get any more racing. Let's talk about the classes. We've never really had a chance to do that, have we? So in Class B, it's Scott Parkin making his second race in ClubEnduro. We saw Scott Parkin out the end of last year in a Class A car. Now he's out in his, I think it's a diesel, Volkswagen Golf, and he's got himself up ahead of Chris Freeman and Jonathan Packard. It's all Golfs to the front of Class B, and then in Class C, it's Graham Kelly's BMW 325i that leads from that free driver shared car, which with them having to make an extra pit stop, not going to be ideal. Well, that's Joe Oswick that starts that one, and third in class is car number 3, John Munro, starting the match number 5 with Nick Dougal, who a couple of days ago was racing a Mazda 2 at Snetterton. We're going a bit quicker this weekend in number 5.
Not sure what all of Matt is. I don't know if he's just doing this to entertain us. Very good, Matt. Yeah, career in glove puppetry beckons. So that's Matt Fazy in the 13 car, starting that Porsche Cayman 2-litre turbo engine machine. Just on the classes. Class A, by the way, is for cars with 300 brake horsepower per tonne. Class B up for 240 brake horsepower per tonne limit. Class C up to 180 brake horsepower per tonne. There's also this year a new innovation, is the Clubman Cup, which is for cars that entered production prior to 2010 and don't have an aftermarket sequential gearbox. So there's a few entries in that. Who's leading that? Going to work that right at this stage?
Pretty sure it's Liam Bidway, who is currently 8th, ahead of Steve. He's 10th, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's failed me there for a second.
Yeah.
So Steve Cheatham will be 2nd in the Clubman Cup, and then there's the others, I think, quite a bit further down. There's not many cars in the top class overall that are also competing in the Clubman Cup, which score their own points for the first time this year for the slightly older, perhaps a bit less modified cars.
Yeah, and they also get points within classes A, B and C as well, based on their overall finishing position too, but it's an extra sort of something to race for the old guys. Just at the back of shot there, let's see if we can see this run through shot. You can see the GR Yaris, the white and red and black car. That's being driven by Cam Walton, and he, of course, the MR2 Class B champion from last year. But this is the very first time that we've had one of these GR Yarises racing in the UK. It's been prepared by Rogue Motorsport, although and that's been going on since last November, although Cam has been getting a bit more hands-on with it in recent times. Of course, it's got the 1.6 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine in it. There we're watching the number 3 car go through. That's John Munro at the moment, the man who produces videos for racing games, the MX-5 or the Max-5 champion in 2016. He's showing that car with Nick Dougal. That's another TWP entered machine. Were those safety car lights out, did I spot, when safety car just cut through shot
I don't think so, because there's still rescue crews down at the hairpin, I can see.
My eyes deceived me then. Yeah, they're still very much on, aren't they?
So obviously this can help a couple of people out. One, those whose fuel tanks aren't so good, so therefore they're saving fuel here. So therefore they can go longer into the race. And it also is helping out anyone who's got perhaps a slightly slower or less experienced driver starting the race. And we always see Andy Schulz go well in second half of these races, don't we? That car started 3rd. Matthew Hampson's dropped to 13th so far. But of course, they're not losing time here. And Andy Schulz has proved to be very quick in that BMW E46 M3. So a couple of types of people being helped out by this early safety car.
For those watching the live stream, let's just explain the colours on the timing tower. So the pale blue, which is everyone in the top 10 at the moment, is a Class A car. The red, that is for cars in Class B. And the darker blue colour, those are the cars in Class C. Let's say those splits at 300, 240 and 180 brake horsepower per tonne. So that's just a bit of an explanation for those watching on the live stream at 750mc.co.uk. I'll start that again, 750mc.co.uk/live, or via Alpha Live. You can find them on YouTube as well. Alpha Live producing all of the footage here this weekend. Still under safety car here at Donington Park. We've had just about 11.5 minutes of racing, although quite a bit of that has now been behind the safety car. We're going to get at least one more lap behind it as well. A quick some birthday greetings to Julia Harding, one of our volunteer marshals. I think she's having her 50th birthday, if not today then sometime quite soon. A very many happy returns of the day, whichever day it is, to Julia Harding. And once again, many thanks to all of the marshals who support the 750 Motor Club in such good numbers wherever we go around the country, but particularly here at Donington Park. It's been a busy weekend for Donington regulars because they had the two-day Masters meeting over the past couple of days to enjoy as well, or on Friday and Saturday, I should say, in that case. There's that Yaris again. The reason I talk about Yaris is I did used to drive an older shape Yaris many years ago, but it's nice to see that car out there for Cam Walton.
And it's the newest car on the grid as well, I should think, or with the Seats as well.
Yes, one of the most modern.
A 2021 spec car, and the car that really was built, the Gazoo Racing version of the Yaris, so they could go World Rally Championship with it, and that has been very successful for Toyota. And Rogue Motorsport have got a close association with Toyota, haven't they?
They do, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Cam himself, while we're just thinking about that car, he's got experience racing in Australia. He was raced out there in the Toyota 86 Racing Series. He was a championship contender to the final round in his rookie season. That supported V8 supercars, and he got the fastest lap at Bathurst as well. He says that was a very cool experience. Well, I should think it probably was. He got the lap record at Sandown as well. And he was also a race engineer at the TCR Australia Championships, winning Hyundai i30N TCR for HMO Customer Racing. Will Brown, the drivers' champion that year in the Australian TCR.
You mentioned Adam Blair earlier. It's cool to have him back out racing, isn't it, with this Audi TT? As you say, back in British Formula 3, had what, about 40 car entries when he raced in the National Championship a couple of decades ago. I think he's done some enduro car racing, hasn't he?
Yes.
Recently, but this is a big speed increase from there, and he's running really well. He got from 6th to 3rd in about a corner early on, and going well in what is a really nicely prepared Audi TT, which I think is owned by Ryan Parkin. He's a co-driver with the 2-litre TFSI engine for the Darkside Developments driver. A few years ago.
Just going back to Adam Blair, I did pop onto his website yesterday, which is well worth a visit, because in his driving profile, he didn't just list all of his racing achievements. He gave an excuse as to why he didn't do better in each case, including, I think, in Formula 1 in 1998, when apparently all of the first 3 cars in the championship were deemed to be illegal. His was in the he was 4th, but they decided not to disqualify them anyway. Anyway, safety cars back in, racing is back a big way in the ClubEnduro Championship, and it's Carl Swift then that leads away from Andy Marston in 2nd, and then it is that man Adam Blair in 3rd place in the Audi.
Andy Marston's made a great restart. He's right on terms with Carl Swift. Here comes Ben Rushworth. He goes up the inside of Will Stacey, but Will Stacey with a lighter car and gone around the outside. We know that Ben Rushworth can race really well. He won the Hot Hat Championship, and he won pretty much every Hot Hat race a few years ago, and he's right there with Will Stacey, again, who is a very successful driver in this championship and in Lotus Cup races in the past as well. There's a couple of TCR cars together. That was Matt Wallace ahead of Mark Bryce, who continued to make progress at the end before the safety car come in, because he's up to the top 12 now in that Audi. The second, the Audi, basically the same car with a different body kit on it, both built by Seat Sport, I think, part of the same group, and already more problems. This is the BMW 328i, that's what Joel Oswick started it.
Yeah, he stopped it at Redgate Corner in a kind of exposed position, so we'll see what happens with that.
Well, Ben Rushworth's lost a place, so that's not in the plan. Dave Griffin, who didn't make the best of starts in this fantastic looking E90 M3, he's up into the top 6. He did qualify 5th in Dave Griffin. He is an Australian driver, isn't he, Dave? And he's up there inside the top 6. As Steve Laidlaw there returning to 750 is 4th in another of the Seats. The Seats are sort of scattered all the way through the top 20 or so, aren't they? And with this balance of performance type of record that Seventh World Cup have put in for this season, so the Seats fit nicely inside Class A, and very sideways there was Adam Blair, was it?
Yeah, I just, because that was into the yellow flag zone, I think, wasn't it? So I wonder if he got an on late that there was a yellow flag, not quite sure, but to and see where we're going to play course.
We know that most people keep full control of their cars during yellow flag zones.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you don't, then action will be taken.
Well, the tyre is rubbing on the bodywork, isn't it? That's what's going on for Dave Griffin.
That's Chris Freeman very slow through Redgate and Hollywood and delaying cars behind him.
So not looking, we still have got yellows there at Redgate corner, so that will all be kept an eye on. Here is Ben Rush birthday. He's not sliding around here. This is only unusual. Well, they're fluid down at Redgate because there's been at least 3 cars that have had a moment, haven't there?
Yeah, that was Lewis Rose in the Honda Civic EP3.
Luke Hanley here, way down the order, 23rd, which is something like 6th in class. He was a champion for the last 2 years in Class B.
As we are watching the 2 cars here disputing 3rd and 4th position, but we're going to get the safety car again with that situation up at Redgate corner. So a little bit of excitement for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're back into safety car mode again, I'm afraid. Is the safety car? Yeah, the safety car is waiting at the end of the pit lane. Hopefully it will pick up the race leader. So we've got a back mark just going through first, which is the James Miller Renault Clio 197, and the safety car moves out onto track, and it is just about going to pick up Carl Swift, very experienced Carl Swift, and Andy Marston as well. So we've had less than 20 minutes. We're now on to our second safety car period. Adam Blair there in 3rd place, just taking some of an interesting line. I don't know if he was aware that there's maybe something down on the circuit on the normal racing line there.
Yeah, I assume that's what's happened. The 3 drivers have had a moment down there. We saw that BMW expire 1 lap earlier. So whether the track will need to be addressed before we carry on with this race, and whether that will mean we can get this safety car period and take us into the pit window.
Yeah, because it will open in 11 minutes time or so, won't it? And I think some people already on the feed have suggested that there'll be a safety car just as soon as the safety car will head out as soon as the pit lane window is open. Well, it might be out when the pit lane window does open. Suggestions that this is the slippery surface front down there now, to no one's great surprise. But the Audi TT being driven by the looks like the ex-Summer Walter car, which is more possible thing, because that was a car prepared for the VW Cup, which did allow Audi's in it.
Slide sports, which I think would well be the case.
Is that reslicing near the box with the timing screen? Yes, I'm afraid it is.
He's made 2 pits now. That car just come down for things again.
Yeah, first time racing with a roof, of course. He's done F1000 for a couple of seasons now. Teenager from West Midlands.
Or racing at the moment might be maybe not the term that he'd use it.
He's just doing some driving, certainly, but not as much of it as he would like.
Just saw going through there, the Ginetta G40, which is out with Matthew Marsh and Chris Webster, have upgraded from a Mazda MX-5 in Class B to a Ginetta G40 in Class B, so from Class C to Class B. It's great to have that out, and that is out in Golf colours. I think I saw at one point that was sort of in Rocco style livery. They, of course, have the big collection of Golf coloured race cars, I think, down in Surrey.
13 back on board for some more entertainment, courtesy of Matt Fazy. What's he going to do this time? At the moment he's keeping his hands on steering, which is probably an excellent idea. Where is he in the order?
He's moved up to 3rd in Class B. Scott Parker still leads. Jonathan Packer is now 2nd. The pole man, Chris Freeman's dropped to 4th. So up to 3rd for Matt Fazy.
Talking of Scott Parker leading Class B, I think I don't know if you mentioned already, but it's the first time he's raced against his brother Ryan, who of course is sharing with Adam Blair in the number 11, twin brother indeed, Ryan Parker. They're in different classes, which I think they've done deliberately to avoid too much in the way of conflict.
Because of course they had this 2-driver effort in multiple cars, didn't they, at the Birkin relay?
That's right, as they have been for a couple of years actually.
Until one car broke down, it was all looking quite good.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's the Toyota.
Yeah, there it is. That's the Camwells car. I do think they look great, those little GR Yaris's, I think. And I know they've been hugely popular on the road. Lots of people have snapped them up and did have a good think about it myself, because wonderful little car.
It's also in the Toyota Works livery, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it looks really good. Road Motorsport have done a good job with that to get that ready for racing and to do our ClubEnduro Championship. It is running within Class A. well down the order within Class A, but it does just have that 3-cylinder, 1.6 litre turbocharged engine. Safety car continue on for another lap. It looks like that fluid spill has been there with it. One particularly long fluid spill, just from the sort of pit lane exit to the point at which that car stops, which was the 235 car, wasn't it, the Joel Oswald car?
All we need to do now is try and encourage Elkin Evans, because who would like that to come out and share the car.
Yeah, there's an idea. Patrick Rossell can work on that one, I'm sure.
Or Sebastian Ogier, of course, has stopped running now and has started his circuit racing career.
Perfect. It's written in the stars. So this,
at the moment, though, it looks like a car that's not quite on the front end of Class A pace.
No, and I guess there's a bit of development to do, and it's going to be a very different car to those lay-in TCRs and the sort of beefy BMW M3s as well at the front end. It's going to be very difficult to get it onto this, but I'm sure it won't stop road motorsport. And Amcam, who's sort of a race engineer in his own right, they're doing what's required to get that close to the sharp end.
There's not many 3-cylinder racing cars either, especially not the 750.
Did you not commentate on 50 on yesterday? Anyway, true. Steve Cheetham is who we're on board with at the moment in the number 43 car, the drive from Manchester, the Porsche Boxster, long-time Porsche racer, of course. Just going through shot there as well.
There's the Class B leader there, the Diesel Golf, off-stop parking, and then the Class B car directly behind. The Class B car is a bit further down the overall order than sometimes we expect, because there are so many Class A cars this year. Especially at this Class C not so well presented here, but there are a lot more registrations, I understand, so expect Class C to expand as the season goes on.
Yeah, the ClubEnduro calendar this year, where does that take us? We go to Croft at the end of May for the second round of the championship, then Spa-Francorchamps for 2, I think, 100-minute races there on the 8th and 9th of July. I'm sure it's 2 races this year? I believe so.
No, I just said round one.
It's one round, but it's a joint combined as well. 31st of July, Snetterton 300, 21st of August, Silverstone International. Snetterton 300 is the 180-minute race. Lights are out on the safety car, by the way, so getting racing underway shortly. Silverstone International and we'll see. Good to go back there with ClubEnduro and Alton Park to round out the season.
Yeah, I'm sure people are hoping it's going to be hot. It's hot as second was 1 year ago.
Especially if you're doing a single driver.
Exactly. Yeah, well, there were people pulling out last year because it was too hot. Anyway, it's not that hot here. It's warm enough for Easter Monday, and we're about to get racing back underway. The previous racer, Andy Marston, had a go at getting past Cole Swift. Let's see if he can do it again. We're about 25 minutes in, so we'll be 5 minutes to the pit window opens, and Cole Swift has got around the hairpin really well and accelerated away from Andy Marston.
That B-slice car that's had gearbox issues, by the way, is the news on that one. So, what a big moment for Carl Swift, and he's off! He's going to be into the gravel, surely, on the restart. Yes, he is! He's found some fluid that wasn't directed to think more than likely, and he's going to resume, but he's going to resume in 4th or 5th or 6th position.
Nobody else went off, so maybe just changed the brake bias on the car that was wrong, I don't know. But it was a big moment, that is for sure. He managed to keep it out of the barriers, and he managed to keep it without losing too many collisions. Everybody else is getting into Redgate with no problems. So yeah, very odd and a strange, an unusual mistake from Cole Swift. Let's see if we can work out how he went off with a replay here on Apple Live. So he went across the line, everybody else was on the same line as him, and as soon as he brakes, it does seem like a brake bias problem rather than anything else, but
it seems to be. It wasn't fluid, I don't think, but we'll see. We won't hear from Carl Swift during the race, of course, but we might hear from him if he wins it, which now will be a taller order than it was. It will be useful to find out from Carl if we can at some point later on, or from his team possibly. Might sort of look down there in the pit lane, what the situation was with there. We're only 3 minutes away, sort of 4 minutes away actually, from the pit lane window opening.
TCR racing out of the track between Matt Wallace and between Mark Price there, Sagan versus Audi. They've got a Porsche in front of them, which is Steve Cheetham's Boxster. The Class B battle here, that's Matt Fazy going down the inside of Jonathan Packer for second. But here's our new race leader, then Andy Marston, ahead of Adam Blair. Let's Andy Marston go right to the right hand side of the circuit, so he is concerned that there could be fluid down after seeing what happened in front of him. There's Cole Swift, he gets 4th place back from Will Stacey down the inside into Red Gate corner, so it hasn't put him off much, and really didn't lose much time considering what happened. And now we can ride on board with Steve Cheetham, who behind him has Mark Bryce now, because Mark Bryce has got ahead of Matthew Wallace. And down the Craner curve, how quick are these cars downhill? Very quick indeed. Then down a gear into the old hairpin, well over the curve on the right hand side of the track, and then left the car run out wide over the curve to the left, but going no further, because if you do you get track limits, and then climbing up the hill through Schwartz curve, through the left hand, and then get the car straight before braking down the gear into McLean, and all the while trying to keep Mark Bryce's Audi RS3 behind him.
Yeah, absolutely good with a rear-facing camera in Steve Cheetham's car at the moment, but it's a front-facing one. He's got a couple of cars not too far behind him. As there we see the Will Stacey car, which is back down to 5th position now. The Castle's got back into P4. There is Steve Cheetham in that 10th position, number 43 car with just behind him, number 27.
And the diesel gun, isn't it, that's smoking, so that's not to be worried about. And Colesmith gets 3rd up the inside of Steve Laidlaw, making his debut in the ClubEnduro Championship in Batsay at Leon. And now Steve Cheetham sideways, trying to break the late as he dared. Had Mark Wright come down the inside, bit of opposite lock as Steve Cheetham accelerates, tried to find another gear, didn't go quite as well as he planned that gear change, and that allows this Audi RS3 to just pull away a little bit in the hand of Mark Wright. Takes a much wider line, the front wheel drive Audi, the rear wheel drive Porter then goes through, go up again. It's one of the Cup competitors for the older cars without a potential box, but here is a change for what is 8th position, because Sammy Venables has got ahead of Liam Bidway heading down the start finish line. Bidway trying to find back, he is the Cup leader in that Motor 6 Siege. We won't be too much longer in before we get into lap traffic with the Class C cars, obviously with a lot less power than the leading machines.
Yeah, that's the 23 car, which is being driven at the moment by James Miller, but Sarah Dennis will take it over. James Miller, I think, having his first race, it is his first ever race, first time around Donington Park as well, driver of car number 23, but we're going back up the field to look at number 27, up into the top 10 now. Mark Bryce got ahead of Steve Cheetham, and just behind them are Wallace's Matt Wallace in number 6 car at the moment, and there, the position is number 20 got parking.
Then the Class B leader getting past Matthew Hampson and putting some Class A cars between himself and Jonathan Packer, who's moved from Class C to Class B from Honda Civic to Volkswagen Golf for this season. And therefore he's now got a bit of work to do to catch up the class leader, Scott Parkin. And Scott Parkin was spectacular there, getting down the inside into McLean. So there's Sammy Venables in now 8th, pulling away from Liam Bidway, but he is being caught by Mark Wright. Steve Cheetham is 11th, but this great big rear wing on the back of the Porsche Boxster.
Yeah, absolutely right. And a bit further up, we can see it's very close here.
Change for a second.
And it is a change, isn't it? Yes, it is indeed. So through to second place has gone the number 1 car, Carl Swift, fighting back. He's 3.2 seconds behind Swift now. He's got ahead of Adam Blair in the Audi. He's now got 3.2 seconds to catch Andy Martin, the BMW M3, out at the front of the field at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. So Andy Marston in this E46 M3 GTR that he got towards the end of last year. Now that's Class B, Scott Parkin now behind the Porsche Cayman, but I missed that in all of that. Then so Matt Fazy has got to the front of Class B. So that's Scott Parkin trying to chase him, and he is catching him. There's only a couple of attempts between them now. Meanwhile up front, that gap coming down from Andy Marston to Cole Swift, and Adam Blair trying to go with Cole Swift and a much wider line in the Audi TT. So now the pit window is open because we've had 30 minutes of racing. We've got Will Stacey going well in that Lotus in this match, which is being headed in 4th place by Steve Laidlaw, who shares with his son, which is Sam Laidlaw, who will be getting in later on. And then behind is Dave Griffin, who's got ahead of Phil Stacey then at the start of this lap. Then Ben Rushworth in the Seat lane behind. And a gap back, who gets lapped that Clio we mentioned. In 8th position is Sammy Venable, but he's some 5 seconds behind this battle that we watch, which includes BMW, Seat and Lotus.
It does, and Ben Rushworth at the back of that little group in 7th position. Two on board here with Matt Fazy then, number 13.
And Blair is being given a penalty already for exceeding track limits of 5 seconds. Didn't have that problem back 20 years ago, did you, in things like Formula 3? But that's obviously a newer regulation in Motorsport UK racing, and already not many racing laps into this race, and Blair has got a penalty.
To be fair, 20 odd years ago, most circuits wouldn't have wanted to exceed track limits, but the sort of geography of the circuit's just changed, hasn't it? With much more appealing runoff areas than we've had before. So that's Fazy going wheel to wheel with the car of, it's the Dayburn Lotus Exige, isn't it? Stuart Dayburn's the 44 car. That's one of the Class A machines, so it's not from that position.
Yeah, I think that's the V6 car that was raced in Europe a decade or so ago. Going through there into the cold drought, making her debut. So is there fluid down there
That
still?
could well be. Let's have a look.
Phil Driver.
It is Phil Driver, yeah, that's at the moment there. The 62-year-old semi-retired ex-British GT driver, of course, but he's raced all kinds of different things down the years.
We've got 2 drivers that have raced Aston Martin in British GT in this race. With Andrew Howard, who drove that Lotus there later on, and Phil Driver, who we've just seen, who had been a class winner in the past in the Tiguera ClubEnduro Championship. But yeah, we saw the cold ground making her ClubEnduro debut. Good to see quite a number of female race drivers in the Tiguera ClubEnduro on this opening weekend of the season. We've got another Seat developing. That is between Matthew Wallace and Phil Knibb as they turn their way through the hairpin in 12 and 13. Here's the Class B leader. We've got the Class A car between them. So that is Matt Fazy ahead of Scott Parkin. Then there's a gap back to Jonathan Packard in 3rd, 4th is Chris Freeman, and 5th is the champion from last year, turning through the hairpin there, Luke Handley. Class C, a bit further back, we watch the Toyota continues to be led by Graham Kelly. Now here is Cam Walton, who runs in 28th position, so the best lap probably at 49.5. He's just behind David Goodin, BMW, and just ahead there of Phil Driver included, trying to recover after his off, and it was between them was the Rose Civic.
There's the GR Yaris again. Looked absolutely fantastic. I think that 50 car for Cam Walton, prepared of course for Giro racing by Rogue Motorsport, with Cam also getting involved in some of the operational development work on that car.
Lead gap down to 1.5 seconds. But David Goodin in the pits with Nigel Queensaw on pro drivers can only allowed to do 50% of the race. There's that regulation no more. But if Nigel Queensaw gets in now, if that regulation still remains, that's not ideal. I'm sure it was the Goodin BMW that I just saw come down the pit lane.
The main window is open, of course. The hot regulations I haven't extracted from my phone. That's the 99 car for Joe Williams. That was the car starting from the back. How far the other back got? Not into the top of the 30, I don't think.
Last regulation is 41st.
That's more than a mandatory stop for Joe Williams, I think.
WRT still on the side, not to be confused with Vincent Voss's team. The Williams racing team. On this Volkswagen Golf. Lots of Golfs out there this year. Popular car.
I think a few of them ex-VW Cup cars as well, some of them.
And there is a Volkswagen engine. So the lead gap now 1.2 seconds as Cole Swift continues to catch Andy Marsden.
Off the circuit though goes, that's the number 101 car Nick Grove, the BMW 130i from Class B.
Adam McLean. More penalties for Adam Blair. He's now got a 15-second penalty for exceeding track limits. So not too sure what Brian Park will be making of this in the pit lane. There comes the 1 Series back onto the circuit. Interesting little stat I noticed is we've got 1 series, 2 series, 3 series and 4 series models of BMW in this race, which is pretty unusual.
It is. I don't know if that's happened before, but there we go. So there you've got 2 smaller cars in the race coming towards us, the Clio and the Yaris, with the Honda Civic just behind.
There's Phil Driver recovered. He's in 28th position now. Here are the leaders though, in traffic. Andy Marston versus Cole Swick. Cole's 50 brakes desperately late into the hairpin. So we've got rear wheel drive BMW E46 here versus front wheel drive Seat Leon, and they accelerate up across the line. And that's the Class C leader they're about to lap, the Graham Kelly BMW, who continues to lead Class C by about 7 seconds over the Hayden Saviani BMW, then the Dougal Munro Mazda is third. Car across the track here. Is that the tuning car back out? A quick stop. There's some kind of problem, wasn't it?
Well, if we knock the drive changed off.
In front of them, the challenge for what was 7th position, because Sammy Bennett just caught William Stacey.
Yes, so that is for 7:49 and 70. They were separated by half a second as the cars came across that line to complete lap 17.
The Z just pulled away from the Class B cars and just swapped around because Ryan Parker, he's got back ahead of Matt Fazy. So Volkswagen back ahead of Porsche, and Scott Parker to set his personal best lap of the race. There's Matthew Hampson. He's lost a lot of positions now, hasn't he? He's down to 21st, so I think he's going to make life difficult for Andy Schulz in the second part. Nicole Grout, who I forgot earlier, I think Lotus may have just expired.
It looked very much like it, didn't it? So that's going on. Yeah, it is just pulling into pits, unsurprisingly.
That's the car that won in the past in the hands of Alan Henderson when the car got to the end. But it looks like it may get no further.
The Irish driver out of the race, unfortunately.
Leading out half a second until Cole Swick had caught Andy Marston. It might be harder to overtake him though. They're 7 seconds ahead of Ryan Parkin. Ben Rushworth, number 5th now. He's got back ahead of Dave Griffin and also past William Stacey. So Ben Rushworth going well. He won't have that much experience with lap traffic, I guess, will he? Although he did so fast he lapped into there, but he was maybe not in a situation where he needed to push so hard to chase other drivers.
No, possibly not.
Nicole Graham needs to make it on the radio here, otherwise she's going to get strangled.
Don't want that. It would be a very good way to enter ClubEnduro Day. But yeah, out of the car, I'm afraid. And that's that car out of the race. See if it really pays my rather suspect it won't.
Yeah, she's not hanging around in a hurry, is she?
No. So, looks like that. 40 minutes of racing gone. Andy Marston leading by half a second from Carl Swift. Last time we saw him come across the line.
On the last lap of natural traffic dependent. That was Dave Griffin in the E90 M3, which we have seen once before. I don't remember it lasted particularly long. So great to see that car out though. Another different shape. There's so many different shapes of car on this grid, and that makes it fantastic. And it is fantastic to see this production endurance race series courtesy of the 750 Motor Club. And I saw in the week lots of people suggested that they want longer endurance races back, like the Will High 24 hours. This type of grid does give very much a feel to back in the 1980s. There is Will Stacey. He's pulled away from Sammy Venables now in 7th place. 8th, and up to 9th in the Audi has come Mark Bryce. He had probably qualified, which only started 19th. But
was there something going on down towards the head? Let's see. Yes, there is, and it's the Lotus Leon Bridgeway from top 10 out of the race.
It had lasted 18 laps, which is significantly better than it's done in the past, to be fair.
What's the contact there? Between, I think that was that the 1 Series BMW and didn't catch who the car that was.
Oh my word.
There's lots of contact. All of a sudden, there's some fluid down there as well.
Just pulled off.
Yeah, so if cars are getting out of shape down at Melbourne Hairpin, possibly there's some fluid down there. who knows? Maybe we'll get another safety car. Let's. It seems like a good time therefore to run down the top 10 positions. First is number 37 Andy Martin. Second is number 1 Carlsworth. Third is number 11 Alan Blair. Fourth is number 100 Steve Laidlaw. Fifth is number 2 Ben Rushworth. Sixth is number 34 Dave Griffin. Seventh is number 49 William Stacey. Eighth is number 70 Sammy Venables. Ninth is number 27 Mark White. 10th is number 43 Steve Cheatham. We're seeing the 101 car going slowly. That was the car that was involved in a bit of contact. Yeah, there's some damage there. But it's also gone off the road earlier, hasn't it? The 101 car of Nick Drove as well. Class B is being led by number 12 Scott Harkin. From number 13 Steve Hewson and number 5 Gordon Packer. Class C, Josh, can you see who's leading Class C at the moment?
That would be 188 Graham Kelly by about second, 66, which was started by Jonathan Hayes, third is number 3 John Monroe.
A couple of cars in the penalty area. 179 has gone back out again. I don't think that he was serving a penalty though. And the 22 car is just serving a stop-go penalty, and that is Luke Drowse and Paul Drowse. Luke Drowse in the car at the moment with a 101 car to out of the race.
And Nick Grove started some Carlo Turner there. He isn't going to get a race. I think it looked like there was a broken front left corner on that car. Change for the lead, by the way. Cole Swift has got ahead of Andy Marsden, so the Seat goes back to the front. He did lead for about 10 laps or so after that off, but he's quickly got back to the front of the field. They're 10 seconds now ahead of Adam Blair, who has been caught by Steve Laidlaw.
So Matt Sumlin hopefully is somewhere down there. He can hopefully go and find our cameraman down there out in the pit lane, and put those units up together again. We'll see if Matt can maybe see if he's not to get some interviews, because we'll be driving change the ahead, especially if we do get a safety car as well. I suspect some drivers, especially the solo drivers here, will be rolling the dice and waiting for a safety car, won't they, Josh? Yeah,
at this point, you obviously don't need fuel, but some cars they may need fuel earlier than others. There's the Audi, Mark Price, front Civic Cup racer in the past. He's been doing this endurance series though for a while now. He is up to 9th and 6 seconds behind Sammy Venables in the BMW M4. He's now 10 seconds clear of Steve Cheatham. Lots of tyre spill down there the other end of the circuit. The Williams Motor Company Audi RS3 then turns its way down towards the Melbourne Loop. Leaders across the line, by the way. They're still together. Andy Marsden is still with Cole Swift by just a few tenths of a second, and then 10 seconds later we have the back of a third across the line between Adam Blair and David Griffin, and then a fifth way back across the line just a couple of seconds later between Steve Laidlaw and Ben Rushworth. So the top 3 or the top 6 are running in 3 pairs or out of the racetrack at the minute. But Will Stacey is solo in 7th place with Sammy Venables. Then Pat Venables doesn't come through, I don't think. So Mark Wright is up to 8th.
Venables in the background, I think.
So the M4 has had a problem lap. So Cheatham is now 9th. Up into the top 10 has come Phil Knibb, who's lapping quickly in his Seat Leon now, and down to 11th therefore from Sammy Venables. Running the GAN out there, first time we've seen one of those in ClubEnduro. That's Matt Dennis, who started the car and shared with Graham Price in Class B.
It's a new build for this year by Pure Truck Racing, Matt Dennis's team, and his wife Sarah also racing in the clearance for the spin show with James Mellor.
Here are the leaders into the hairpin. Swift then diving down the inside of a Mini Cooper. The car driven by Neville Jones, and chasing him still is Andy Marsden. Then we wait for the back of the third. Here they come. That's Adam Blair's Audi TT just ahead of David Griffin. Then behind them is the battle of a fifth between Steve Laidlaw and Ben Rushworth. And there's lots of Class B back fifth that they've just lapped as they turn their way through the hairpin. We've got a little look there at the 3 battles up front, but it looked to me like Cole Swift just starting to gap Andy Marsden now after 22 laps. They cross the line. 1.2 seconds is the gap that separates them.
Certainly is. 45 minutes gone, 46 minutes nearly.
Ben Rushworth looking racy here, isn't he, on the back of Steve Laidlaw?
Yeah, absolutely. Those two just getting into Redgate now. As Will Stacey going through as well.
far behind them, is he?
No, not too far, about 4 seconds behind that one, 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. Not too much between them at all. Watch this view of the start and finish straight, Woodcliff Straight here at Donington Park.
This is number 9, Steve Cheatham versus Phil Nim. So a lot of couples have got out there in pairs, haven't they, having battles, and chasing the boat. Sammy Venables going quicker. Now he's not in problem. Here comes the Class B leader. That is now Matt Fazy again. And he's pulling away from Scott Park. Between them, from the pretty much back of the grid, is the George Haler Seat Leon that was on the podium here a year ago.
That's right.
Coming through. So they got into the top 15 from way back on the grid.
It was pretty much those were early good, but that car started, so things in qualifying, of course. Yeah, it was row 26 of the grid. Oh, and that's problems as well. That's the 99 car. Yeah, that is the car that's on the back. That's Joe Williams, the WRT team for the 33-year-old mechanic, starting his first season of racing, driving from Leominster.
Trying to find a safe place to park, which is always very appreciated. Now riding forward with the Class B leader. This is Matt Fazy in the car that Steve Hewson won the final round of last season in the class. Now 14th overall, and ahead Scott Parkin by about 3 seconds. Parkin has lapped quicker during the course of the race than Fazy, but Fazy doing a good job here to be ahead. And we've seen much of Matt Fazy over the last few years, haven't we, since he won the class championship?
Yeah, it was 2018 he won the title, the class title, the same year as Steve Hewson won it overall, sharing with Matt Noster, and of course Hewson and Fazy teaming up now this season for this Class B campaign in the Porsche gaming.
The only race that Matt Fazy's done in the last 3 years was at Canton Park, where he won twice in the Lewis Lease Trophy, so that's was good for him. And now he is out with Steve Hewson in this Porsche. Well, let's look on this lap, Scott Parkin is a bit closer again, but there is that Class A Seat between them, and Scott Parkin was 1.2 seconds quicker than Fazy on that lap, so the gap is reduced.
Josh, can I think a little bit on the position of car number 3, which is the TWP traction branded MX-5 for John Munro, who started that car with Nick Dougal. In fact, we can see it on our screen. Oh, there it is. But where is it in track position, Josh?
It's third in Class C still, but about 20 seconds behind class leader Graham Kelly with John Munro. 35th overall, but third, more importantly, within the class. The race leaders there, we still remember, absolutely together across the line. So let's take a look at that John Munro car. We'll come back to him in a moment, because the lead battle is on, because Andy Marston has closed in on Cole Swin. Now, could Cole Swin have to push so hard to get back up as he damaged his front tyre? Because, of course, on that Seat, all the work needed to be done by the front tyres on that Seat. We'll come back to the lead battle in a moment to see John Munro go through. We've had a change for third place. Dave Griffin in that E90 M3 didn't start so quickly, he's moving up the order. He's got into third ahead of Adam Flair. So some good battles out on the circuit, included across the line there, involving Michael Downey, Porsche Boxster, and the Ginetta G40, which was started, I'm not really right, but Tidmarsh Chris Webster car there was started by Tidmarsh. So they were involved in a battle. And Sammy Venables is slower in the BMW M4, the elite motorworks car in the background. The two Class B leaders are together when they touch. I think there was contact there between the two Class B leaders out of the hairpin, but involved in all of that, they're still touching, and they are very close to making contact to Redgate Corner, the two Class B leaders, Scott Parkin and Matt Fazy. We'll follow up on that in a moment, but first let's hear from Matt Suckling, who's down on the pits.
Yeah, thanks very much, Josh. Down here with Nick Grove, who's just stepped out of the 101 BMW. Nick, it looked like there was a bit of damage on the car and it hasn't gone your way, unfortunately. What's the matter?
No, we've had a fairly interesting start to the race. Obviously, a couple of safety cars, just starting to get back into the rhythm, blocked up at the bottom of McLean's, went through the gravel, treated it as a drive-through, managed to get all the way out the other side, then just managed to get settled back down again. We got some oil indoor temperature warnings, and then we were coming into the Melbourne Loop. I think it was a Lotus straight into the side of us as I turned in, and then at that point the steering was more than usually wonky and really difficult to get in gear. So it seemed okay when we got back and restarted the engine and stuff. So Carlo just took it out, but I think he just turned left at the end of the pit lane. So I think they're probably done.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of damage on the right-hand side of the car, wasn't there? And
pleasing crunch as I opened the door. So a bit of fiberglass repair, but first race of the season. So we'll be back.
yeah, so Carlo's got away now. I want to let you get away and go and see if he's come back anywhere. But if you can get it back out, you probably will.
If we can get it back into shape, we'll certainly have another go. It's still quite early in the race, so we'll see what we can do.
Nick, thanks very much for your time.
Cheers.
There we go, Nick Grove with the 101 BMW with some problems. Carlo was just set back out, but as he said, turned left at the end of the pit lane with some problems. So that one now is with a retirement.
Thanks, Matt. And that's a great shame for Nick Grove and Carlo Turner. Tractor has been busy mowing the car park ready for next weekend in the grass bags here at Donington Park. But that's the trolley cars here next week. But we've got trolley cars installed here with the TCR cars in this ClubEnduro Championship race.
There's the third place car, Dave Griffin, who's been moving through the order. And the E90 M3 is ahead of Steve Laidlaw and Ben Huffler's touring cars there. Still half a second, the gap up front, by the way, between Cole Swift and between Andy Marsden. Saw there Adam Blair, who had a slow last lap and has dropped to 7, so I thought he may have come into pit. That's not the case.
So, of course, he's got those 15 seconds worth of penalties driving to his time as well. I think it's a 5 and 10, maybe 15 rather than 5 and 15. Together.
But he dropped positions on the road as well. We lost third to Dave Griffin and then we lost 3 more positions with presumably an error. There's Bothelli heading through in his Class B Lotus, the car that he shares with Andrew Howard.
To the look, there is the 71 car, I think that was, going through shot. That's the 70 though, that's the correction. Yeah, it was the 70 car with Venables going through, I think.
Yeah, but the car's still going, isn't it? Because that's the problem. A while ago, I thought it was coming to a halt before we spoke to Matt. And of course, at that point as well, the 2 Class B drivers were trying to take each other out, weren't they? Scott, what's the results for all of this? Scott Park is now ahead of Matt Fazy.
But that seconds between them, isn't
there was some non-practical things happening, I think, between those two. Who are the 2 leaders? Andy Marsden sideways out to the Goddard hairpin, right on terms with Cole Swift, then the race leader, as they come down toward Redgate. But Marsden is keeping with Swift. These are both solo drivers now, we believe. So that race battle could last the whole distance. And then here comes Griffin, he's in third. The team, the Lodge Porsches have got themselves together, haven't they? Steve Cheetham laps Colin Gillespie. Cheetham is 9th and he's keeping Phil Nibbler at bay as they head their way down in towards the Melbourne Loop. They're 9th and 10th now in this race, the Porsche and the Seat.
Yeah, Gillespie in the Class B Porsche Cayman there, whereas 43 car Steve Cheetham is a Class A Boxster. There's that 70 car of Sammy Venables, which has had a bit of a mixed race so far, it's fair to say. Running at the moment in 14th position. Is that still on the lead lap, or is it now a lap down? It should still be on the lead lap, yeah, I think you're right. It's the number 70 car, and it's Steve Hopkins and Sam Venables teammate that this is Donington Park, his favourite circuit. He's not yet had a chance to drive it in this particular race. 58-year-old surface architect in that Elite Works prepared M4.
Lotus have got themselves together there, down through the the brain occurs, but the leaders exit the hairpin where I think they are lapping Reese Lyson, who is back out on track, but not racing still, technically.
Still with those gearbox issues, as suggested, which is a great shame for young Reese.
And then it's a Class C leader, is it not? That's it, Graham Kelly. Let's come to a stop on the exit of the Melbourne hairpin.
It's 325i for Graham Kelly, and that's looking like he's going to need some help to get back into the race. Look, top right, I think between two, the Luke Prowse and Paul Prowse car, we've been told that's a bit of retirement from the race as well. So we have lost a few cars during the course of this race so far, or cars which have sort of long pit stops and got one headed. Looks like Graham Kelly is getting out of the car, or preparing to get out of the car, which I wouldn't be advising given his position.
Yes, you know that might be.
Yeah.
A difficult time for pit stops.
Yeah, you're sort of getting to prime pit stop time, isn't it? I think Graham should probably stay in his car.
So what that means is John Hayes now leads Class C from John Munro. That we were talking about earlier, but Munro was 27 behind Hayes, and third, that was Rory Baptiste.
Right, Kelly's managed to get his car a few inches further off the road. Still not off the road though, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens this. The marshal has now arrived and is suggesting to Trevor if he can pull the car into the old pit lane entrance.
Something happened. Maybe not. I was wondering if something happened to Andy Marston there, but I think he's okay. Yeah, he's still right with Carl,
yes.
So yeah, no problem. Which is good news for the E46 M3 driver against across the line.
Black flag being shown to someone, which is probably make them aware of a pit stop penalty that they need to serve. We can't see the numbers from here for the shown to the drivers though. Let me just check my source of information, see what comes back and find out if anything.
Back fourth comes out there, and still Steve Laidlaw ahead of Ben Rushworth. Rushworth quite as close to Laidlaw as one would.
He's got a bit further away. Yes, he's onto the old pit lane entrance now, is Graham Kelly, but that car is still not in an ideal position, but it's got a slightly less bad position than it was. Graham is now at least able to get out of the car.
Leaders exit McLean in traffic, as they pretty much constantly are now, and turn their way through Office Corner. Bradley Hartley is doing a great job here, I'd suggest, in keeping with Goldsworth throughout this first part of the race, especially considering how Colton caught him after going off.
Yeah, the rate at which Carter caught him, you'd think he'd then be able to pull away, but that's not been the case at all. That's the 100 car, the Steve Laidlaw car, that's in fourth position, just putting a lap on the Class C, yeah, the new Class C leader, therefore. Here, what position overall is that? 31st, yes, we've got to your screen now. Jonathan Hayes, Paul Sibiani, car, the Canets racing car.
So, yeah, so they're going well. There's Class B leader, Scott Parkin. Where is Matt Faisley? About 5 seconds behind now. And they're still going to be lapped by the Class A leaders because they're turning their way across the line to beat 30 laps of this race. Actually, there's yellow flags at Coppice in the background.
Yes, there are.
I don't think we've seen the reason for that.
So that's probably something that's stopped on the straight. Ah, there we are.
Will Stacey.
It is Will Stacey. Now he was inside the top 10, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's sixth, I think. All that car's come to a halt over the last moments.
Marshall and driver need to get that car to a position of safety. So number 49 is the latest retirement. There's been a few retirements so far on the jobs. The elites are now out of the race.
Yeah, this is endurance racing. It's just about being fast and consistent. It's also about being reliable and having a bit of really the pit stop to begin.
Dal Anderson is handing over there to Roy Chappell down the 48-year-old Porsche specialist, so obviously he's racing a BMW. Married to Mark 14 there, but that's when he started racing in 2019. That car actually was built to go here, but they're actually running it in ClubEnduro on the circuit, so that's a car that can go better in the wet, maybe. Why are they running that one actually first? In 37th position and second, fourth, I think, Class C.
So that's looking quite good. The Wallaces are heading exit stage left, stage right to watch the screen, into the pit lane. So Matthew Wallace will hand over to his brother Simon from the area motorsport prepared cars. Two garages of area motorsport run vehicles here at the far end of the pit lane, and that is where Matt Wallace is the first of those stoppers.
Yeah, and in the pit lane you can see that stopping at a 45-degree angle to avoid too much congestion when drivers are making the stop. They have to put over 45 degrees, then push it back out into the race. That's always getting out of the car. And Simon will get in. Can't be fueled at the moment.
He's all there. Get out, shut the door before the fueling could begin. We'll have the fuel going in, and then something will be ready with the fire extinguisher. Well, hopefully it won't be needed, but just in case there is Rob Baker. He certainly doesn't look like he's going to be driving the car. So he's on a fact he's running so many cars, he's not driving the car as well. It's not really feasible, so he's on team boss duties.
Yeah, area motorsport boss there. That is one of the area motorsport cars, number 6 of the Wallace brothers. Starting their racing in MR2s. MR2s and they're raced in 6 ago. That's right.
That's right. So, don't have to rush them. That's the whole point of the minimum pit stop time. There's Sammy Venable seemingly back up to speed, although now he is 15th in the race. And he turns his way down towards the Melbourne Loop. Into the top 10 now is George Hager in that car that's starting from the back. Marshall's still working to move the BMW down there, by the way.
Yeah, that's on the old Grand Prix pit entrance, as we're watching on screen, the number 70 Elite Works car. Who's that into the pits?
That's the Ron Fennick.
Fennick Lotus, isn't it, that's going in?
So Andrew Howard should be making his 750 debut here.
I'm looking a bit blank because I don't know the answer to that, which I suspect it probably is.
So I think he just raced minis, didn't he, before he went GT racing?
Yeah.
This is the recycling car, isn't it?
Yeah, so
You'd think wouldn't need fuel at this stage.
it might as well. It's going to be Steve Brockington that will get into the car before it's a job program manager his first season of racing. Done some tarmac and then gravel with Steve.
Recycling did do 16 laps actually. Not very quickly, it has to be said.
The leads have done 32 to put that in context.
Yeah, so he did does need some fuel, not as much as he probably would have hoped. See Matt Sutcliffe watching on as Area Motorsport do their pit stop. Getting quite busy down there now, so Matt's going to have plenty of drivers to chat to as we head into the second part of this race.
Yeah, so getting ready to, as soon as that 3-minute countdown has been completed, to push the car back out of race. There we are, 180 seconds up. And Simon's going to go back out into the race for the remaining hour and 1 minute. So they've split that pretty evenly between the two drivers, haven't they?
That's right, yeah. Lead up now 2.5 seconds. So Andy Marston is just on pulled away. Their third place, Dave Griffin, who's 20 seconds behind. He's really pulled away from Steve Laidlaw and Ben Rushworth, who are together as they turn their way into the hairpin. Ben Rushworth can't go through. Ben Rushworth half a minute behind Cole Swift here, which I can't imagine would be in Ben's norm.
No, but I mean, Cole's been racing these cars for a while now. It's Ben's first time out. It's very experienced. He's got the Metro champion, of course, and Hot champion as well in the Honda that he raced to such great effect. It's a good racing as well, hasn't got quite a reputation from there.
Yes, the race that is in historics thanks to Paul Hugo, who's I think one of his sponsors. He raced Shelby V8 primarily as his historic exploits a few decades ago, and impressed in that. I think the historic racing heats were pretty impressed with Ben's debut a few seasons ago. Meanwhile, Audi is pitting.
Is that the Adam Blair car?
No, the Mark Price.
Yes, it is.
Which came out 7th. Good stint there for Mark Price. Yeah, car in 8th also in. That's Phil Nibbs, Sayat Leon. And we saw Matt hanging around the pit lane, and now he's caught up with a driver.
down here in the pit lane with the number 6 machine, Matt Wallace, who's just jumped out of the car. Matt, that looked like a hard stint, but a good one.
It was really hard. I felt like the first 20 minutes or so was awesome. The car felt really good and everything, and then that last sort of 30-40 minutes, I think it's the same for everyone, but the tyres were just really going off and I was really struggling. So we just, even though there was no safety car, we decided to make the move and come in at the right time. So.
And you were plagued, weren't you, in that early stint by a couple of safety cars? How did that kind of work for you?
It worked all right actually, because when the safety car came out, I had a couple of people right on my bum, and then by the time the safety car came in, I'd managed to pull a bit of a gap, which is always handy. So yeah, it was actually okay for us.
You've now handed over to your brother. What are you kind of expecting from the day here?
Well, hopefully he can do a little bit better than me, but we'll see. I've just got no idea. Yesterday in testing, we were both around the same time, so hopefully he can just go out there and keep the car on the track till the end.
It's hard work today. It's not that warm, but it's a long circuit. It's a hard circuit.
Yeah, it's a very hard circuit. I mean, if I was doing it in another 10 degrees of weather on top of this, it'd be really hard work. So the cars get very, very hot inside. So as you can see, it's like a full workout.
Yeah, but that's now you done for the day?
It's hopefully done for the day, unless Simon decides to come in for an unexpected reason.
Well, good stuff, Matt. Well done.
Cheers, thanks very much. Cheers.
There we go. Matt Wallace down here in the pit lane. Now out the number 6 car, but brother in it, ready to go to the end of the race.
Thanks, Matt. It's good to hear there from with another Matt Wallace down in the pit lane. Then Luke Handley, the reigning Class B champion, is currently in 5th. There's Ben Rushworth, and he has not got Steve Laidlaw directly ahead of him now, because he's a couple of seconds behind. There's Andrew Howard out in the Lotus Elise, so we'll see what Andrew Howard can do. I don't know whether last week didn't race when Aston Martin was, so good to see him out here. A late entry. There's Sarah Dennis and James Millars, Renault Clio, who we saw earlier on, turning their way through McLean's corner into the second half of this race now.
A couple of cars are going to have to start again. A couple of cars are going to have to serve some stop-go penalties. 27, which is the car that came from pits a moment ago, the Mark Weiss Woolbeach Audi RS3 TCR car. They've got 2 1-minute stop-go penalties to serve, apparently. And the 191 car, which is that of Oliver Owen, he's got 1 stop-go penalty to serve.
Okay, that's kind of ruined their races. 42 there going through. There's a new Lotus Elise in the series, driven by Paul Clark and Tom Gladys. Good to see some new names out there in the 2022 season. Here are the Class B leaders. It's Matt Fazy that we ride on board with. It's the Diesel Gulf up ahead of Scott Parkin in the Darkside Developments car that runs wide, just about stays on the circuit. So that's all happening in front of Matt Fazy then, who turns his way down towards the S's. Brakes and down at the gate, the Flappy Paddo box there, a bit sideways, and then accelerates back off after the Class B leader there. Now, as they have pitted in 9th and 10th overall and 15 seconds ahead of Jonathan Packer, and they're about to lap that Toyota Yaris that we've enjoyed seeing out there in this race.
Absolutely right. You mentioned Tom Gladys being involved in this race. He's another driver that's raced at a high level, up to and including FIA Formula 2 Championship in between 2009 and 2011.
You think you recognise these names? You can't remember where from. Thanks for that intro. It's great to see him back out racing here. In that Class A Lotus Elise, but Paul Clark started the car. So across the line there comes a load of cars, which includes that Ginetta G40 of Matthew Tidmarsh, that's 19th overall now.
Yeah, Matthew Tidmarsh showed the car with the car's owner, Chris Webster, riding the Tangerine. It's less of a Tangerine though than it was when they raced the MX5, which I think is now available as a high car. 13. Ooh, very crossed up from Matt Fazy there, as one thing claims. He's kept it pointing in the right direction there as they come up to compass.
Yeah, then Scott Parkin therefore trying to get away, but he's got caught up in a bit of traffic out of coppice, and that has slowed the Gulf up somewhat. So one TWP car was in trouble, now the other one has a drama.
But it's good news for our friends watching who branded the car, traction livery, because it's getting good exposure in the pit lane. That's the number 3 car dropping the road, Nick Dougal. So if that car does go back out again, Dougal, I'm sure will be aboard it. But there's some work being done on the left rear corner on that car that's sitting in the pit lane.
Rushworth has not come through, doesn't mean he's in the pits, I wonder. As the leaders come through, 4 seconds apart now, Cole Swift and Andy Marsden. David Goodin is back in, so perhaps Michael Greensill gets a run now, but that car's way down, out of contention, I should think. So with Rushworth not come through, meaning 5th place is Steve Cheetham, 6th place is now George Taylor. And then the Class B leaders up next with Scott Parkin with this reduced margin again over Matt Fazy. But it's George Taylor, is it just going through?
Yeah, might well have been actually.
Here are the one of the Class B contenders. This is back on board with Matt Fazy, who was entertaining through McLean the lap ago. This time he gets understeer, then oversteer later on. There's one of the area saying there's now Simon Wallace driven car, isn't it? That trying to get on it in his way through the corners.
Yeah. And Fazy, although he's in a Class B car, gets ahead a bit through Coppice and down the straights, but the TCR car is level pegged with it. Well, is going to pull him behind, I think. I don't know if that white indicator's going for a reason, but it kind of looks like it's going to pull him behind. He's not got the pace, has he? I think someone wants possibly in trouble in that area motorsport car. But here are the 2 Class B front runners together now then. Scott Parkin and Matt Fazy. Yeah, definitely not. There's lots of ground there. Heading up towards Goddard, the hairpin.
To be fair, I'd like to be worse than what it ended up being. We're going to see.
I thought the same when the planes a couple of laps ago. But they're coming out, 2 Class B leaders, nose to tail, and in what are they, 7th and 8th overall now, with the pit stops sort of in mid-flow.
In the background, we saw Will Beach come in the Audi, deserve one of those penalties that we heard about a moment ago. So on to Hollywood and down the trainer curve. These Class B leaders up over the curve through the left-handed element there. So that continues to go on. They're now 15 seconds ahead of Patrick's third. Now we'll have the plane to go this time for Matt Fazy when he turns in. And they're right up the board with no drama.
Yeah, it's different every lap, isn't it, with Matt Fazy and McLean's. Can't tell from one lap to the next what's going to happen. So that's the Hayes and Sibiani BMW head. I think it's now Sibiani aboard, isn't it? In that car?
Yeah, looks like they've stopped. There's the Mini out there, the Cooper S, which is with the car shown between Neville Jones and Matthew George. Another brand on track. The LTT is fitted now at Blair.
So what was that from? 6th, was it, in the end?
Where's it gone? That's the fact it's been in already, because it's down to 23rd. So
Yeah, it's probably would have been in and made it stop.
That's Cole Swift up to here. So it's Andy Schuld now in the 46M3.
I suspect he probably is if he's giving Carl Swift a race.
The Class B leaders still going at it.
They are. Different lines taken through the Goddard hairpin that time. And out of it they come along the Wyckoff straight towards Redgate corner. It is Parkin still ahead. Is that the case? Will they get to a faster Class A car threading its way between them as well, which gets out of shape? That's Dave Griffin. And now the 12 car, the Parkin Golf, tries to go back from the inside but can't lift with the BMW as it gets the power down through the corner curbs. So that car of the BMW, where is that? It's running third, so he's a lap ahead now.
That's right, and they've he's not losing any time for the 2 leaders. He's still only 20 seconds behind. Matt Bowe is continuing his work downstairs in the pit lane, and let's see who he's caught up with now.
Yeah, just down here with Ben Rushworth, who's just jumped out the number 2. So, Ben, nice to see you in something a little bit different this year. How was that for you in the first stint?
Baptism of fire, that was absolutely mental. I haven't I've only sweated the car twice like that before, and once I wasn't driving. So yeah, it was good.
A quick car, I imagine.
Yeah, it's such a composed car, and it's really different to jump into that compared to when it took a little while to get used to it. Obviously, start the race, as busy it is, trying to keep up with people, it's mayhem out there. So I've never done an enduro, so it's another thing altogether.
Enjoyed it though?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Right towards the end, settling down, couldn't really keep up with the front running guys. Got not held up, but me and the guy in front, I had strengths and he had strengths, and they sort of averaged out a bit. And then yeah, just trying to keep it on the track, keep it tidy and not push too hard, because they do go off. They're almost like they go off, and yeah, they go off.
I saw you talking to the team there about tyres. Anything wrong with them, or just checking them over?
Right when they called me in to pit, I was going into the chicane alongside a BMW, and I ran a bit wide, and the sausage curbs, yeah, took me out. But luckily it was on the last lap before they called me in to pit, so I just shouted to get some tyres out.
Now James into the car, of course. What do you think he can bring it home in terms of a result?
A, I don't even know where we are, and B, I just hope we keep it on and keep the same position, and maybe there's a bit of attrition at the front. It's the first race we've both done, so if we can just keep it on there on the track, it'd be awesome to finish.
Great job so far.
Cheers, mate.
And there we go, Ben Rushworth then, as we said, out the number 2 car. Not too sure where he is, but I'm sure 2 people who do know where he is, Ian and Josh.
He's showing that in 18th position at the moment, having made that stop, so he'll climb back up, or James will, as some of the cars ahead of him that haven't stopped will make their pit stops. A bit of news from that Class B platform is that 13 car Matt Fazy, which has been exuberantly driven, has picked up a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits now, so that rather blunts the battle that he was having with Scott Parker. They're 1.2 seconds apart on the road, but make that 6.2 seconds on collected times.
Having a look at that Renault Megane that we were talking about earlier, that has been newly built ready for this championship season. There's the other traction car done by TWP. We saw it for a moment, the Reese Lysick driven car earlier. 14 going through there is Christopher Freeman got taken go, who is battling towards the front of the Class B car. There's Jonathan Packard, who's third in that class, 15 seconds behind the 2 leaders. And there's the Blair and Parkin TT. And out of the car. Looks like my Parkin is going to get in it, but we know this is a second pit stop, which is not part of the plan of the ClubEnduro Championship, not this one anyway.
No, absolutely not. So we'll get the car back out into the race. The Darkside Developments car. The car actually built by Slide Sports for the VW Cup. And it rumbles into pit lane 46 minutes of the race. The dust on the circuit there, with the cars having gone off in early races. That's McCollum's corner. We've got 2 Seats going community wheel. One is the Hayler car, and one is the race leader car of Carl Swift. The Hayler car is a lap behind, isn't it?
Yeah, lap going up behind anyway. So George Hayler's trying quite hard to stay on the lead lap just in case.
Yeah.
Because that's always an important factor in these type of races. Andy Schulz has now dropped behind Cole Swift. Cole Swift seemed to be quite happy to run very much wheel to wheel a moment ago. See, with George Hayler. He's got a 5-second lead. So he doesn't want to get held up here too much.
It does now put a lap on with a 187 Hayler. I wonder if that's going to head for the pits. No, it's Rocky Beeson that will drive the second stint in that particular car. They'll need to make that stop in the next 30 minutes because the pit lane closes with 15 minutes of the race left to go.
Yeah, he did actually lose a couple of seconds on that lap, Cole Swift. That's why he was keen to get through, because Andy Marston closed him in. He was getting stuck in traffic. And now he finds that top lap is now driven Lotus. He goes right around the outside through the crater curve, which looked pretty spectacular. And then he turns the car over the inside of the old hairpin. Not sure if the trim on the side there was a little bit loose after doing some excursion earlier. That's possibly. But I don't think that's too much of an issue for Cole Swift, who turned a little bit of oversteer there maybe into McLean's. lapped at Honda Civic. Yeah, it says definitely oversteer, isn't there, in that Seat? And whether they will decide to change tyres in the pit stop at Area Motorsport or not. So they turn their way down to the S-Hit. Not many races which Colt 50 have won in recent years of the ClubEnduro Championship. They lost out on one victory at the Silverstone last year when they had a brake issue, and they lost out on one race in 2020 when Alan Henderson beat them a couple of car. Otherwise, Colt 50 has won every race in the recent years of the ClubEnduro season.
Yeah, usually sharing with Rob Baker though, more often than not. Usually can't be done the lion's share of the racing, hasn't he? I think it's fair to say. In solo here. 23 car clear, you can see she's heading downhill. That's Sarah Dennis, who's now out in the race, ex-Stockcats racer. She started racing 20 odd years ago, I think, but had a long break from racing. Let's go back to it now.
Steve Cheatham's pitted.
He
From
is
6th place. Former champion.
the box dirt on the right hand side of the screen, taking down the pit lane.
There's Andrew Howard going through in his Lotus. He's 27th overall. He's in the Class B car. A little bit slower than the front runners. There is Andy Marston trying to squeeze past a slower car. How did that work out for him? Not particularly well. But he's still on the road, that's the more important thing. Now he gets past the Rory Baptiste and Tim Hartland, E46. And he's also now lapped George Haler, hasn't he? The Seat that's a lap down.
Tim Hartland, I think, was one of, if not the only driver last year to collect awards in 2 different championships, because he collected award for being one of the best golfs as well in the Hot Match Championship last year. Are you looking at what I'm looking at, which is that grass in the sort of air intake there with the number 1 car?
It looks that way. We've seen a lot of dust kicked up in the old hairpin out complex. There's a lot of inside of the road being used by pretty much everybody. So I guess if you're close behind someone where that happens, that's possible. And is that the case, or is it just a bit deceptive?
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Either way, I'm sure the team will try and get that cleared out at the pit stop, which can't be too far away now, you would have thought. I'm just wondering if they're rolling the dice for a safety car here and going to try and coincide the stop with that. So Swift has gone through, and now the second place car has gone through of Andy Marston. The gap's gone out by another 2 seconds nearly on that lap. So 1:42.09 for Swift, 1:43.95 for Andy Marston. That's 2 or 3 seconds off what they've been capable of in the early part of the races.
Class B leader is here, I think. That's Scott Parkin. He's got out of the car while the car being refueled, trying to be cooled down as well. You can see the big blower there at the front. So fuel is going in.
Yeah, of course, that's Ryan's twin. Ryan now out in the number 11 car. Another slight sports built car, the Golf. And Scott, Marcus brother, because they are twins, 32 years of age. He's the owner of Darkside developments. Been racing since 2019.
So I guess this will be a good time for the team to inform him of that penalty for the car he's back to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The Houston and Fazy car, although most of these cars will have team radios as well, so that information should be forthcoming. So top 2 yet to pit. I'm kind of surprised that Lotus is continuing around with the gearbox problem, because it's not very nice to be out there, is it? So much lower than everybody else.
Yeah, well, it's hard to know what it achieves in some sense, other than some more experience it gets for the drivers, but it's not necessarily the most pleasant experience to look for.
That was just nice green sort of getting on. It's 5 seconds off the pace. That's the answer to that. In the E36 M3. He was also racing here at the Masters Historic meeting.
Now what's behind this cloud of dust? I suspect something clear, it's nothing. That's a compass. Yeah, they can't see anything there now. That's our compass. Someone's been off the road at compass.
Nigel Greensill, such an experienced driver. Actually, is that Greensill in the car? I'm kind of not convinced, but if he has got in the car or not.
Yeah, very experienced. Used to race Star Valley in the Ford 1600, ran him racing in this sort of first ever sort of radical enduro 2-hour race, and that was at Mallory Park as well. He's raced in Boss Formula, holds black record at Cascade, or did, the outright record.
On the old track.
Yeah, on the old track.
That guard running, by the way, in 27th position. But isn't one of the quickest cars in the race at this point.
No, it's good to be in the race at all because David and Nigel were only third reserve, so they managed to get in the race with a little bit of attrition elsewhere. 1 or 2 cars pulling out before the weekend.
But David Goodin also races Jaguar E-types with, well, 8 Jaguar E-type with Nigel. So that's where their relationship started. Nigel was also a driver coach. And he's keeping up with the Audi RS3 here, which has had those penalties, so it's dropped down to 22nd. Frank Howard here is being lapped as he turns his way into the S8. That's an experienced driver nowadays. They've raced at Le Mans a number of times. Been training in recent years, we've not seen Johnny Adams race for such a long time. Not too sure actually what Andrew's plans are this year, because he's not racing in British GT, not racing European Le Mans Series, so why not come into ClubEnduro for your next step up?
Yeah, exactly, it's the next development, I think. It's hugely competitive, fantastic platform for the endurance racing, great spectacle, nice variety of cars. Why would you want to be anywhere else? Just seen the 44 cars, the 44 Stint, well, David Trinket now passes, but that's that TDI, I think it has, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the Exige V6 Cup R.
Yeah.
That's raced in the European Lotus Series.
Of course, we used to see David and Trig in TDIs various races.
It is a tiny car compared to the Audi behind Will Beach now, who runs Williams Motor Company, which is on the side of the guy. Great looking car, that Audi RS3. That's the type of car Gordon Shed raced in the World Touring Car Championship, which I don't think was Gordon's favourite time. So he's come back to the British Touring Car Championship, and he'll be racing here next weekend at Donington Park. Then 98. That is the Class C BMW of Roy Baptiste and Tim Hartland, and who leads Class C now? Well, I think everyone has hit it, and it's gone back the way of Hayes and Saviani, and they are 40 seconds ahead of the Baptiste Hartland car, we see one there. And then in the third position has come the Connell and Nolan MX-5. I think they're only their second season of racing, going well. They're in third place in the 97 car.
That's right, Dave Connell and Dave Nolan. 33 and 32 years respectively, both started racing in 2021. And this was a car with the Connell family for 10 years and were converted to racing only a couple of years ago.
I saw Sam McKee wishing them luck, we've seen out in the 7th World Cup racing in the car. Here is Tom Gladys sharing with Paul Clark in the Lotus there. That's a bit further down the order now, I think. Good to see that car out there. There's 13 in the pit. That's Matt Daisy. So who is the lead in pit stop? I think it's the Sam Laidlaw, Kevin Sayat, isn't it? It's now in 8th. I think all the way now from James Ramsden, who's taken over from Ben Rushmore.
Yeah, Ramsden in 10th at the moment.
Andy Shaw's is catching them quickly. He's only 17 seconds behind Ramsden, with 5 seconds quicker on the last lap. So, and he got ahead of Dave Griffin, who remember was third earlier. So Andy Shaw's is bringing that BMW 673 into a strong contending position.
Well, his best lap time is a 1:42.17, which is pretty competitive, isn't it? When you look at Marston and Swift, they both lapped in the 140s, but nobody else, apart from the Maidlaws and Rushworth, has really been lapping in that pace. I don't think was sort of in contention now. A bit further back, we have left as well. He was like 142, but they've dropped back quite a long way now.
Here he is, Andy Shaw's. experienced GT racer in the Torque Speed BMW 46M3 again this year. And he then going to look at M5 to talk about where to go. That's in a podium position at the moment in class. So through McLean's goes Schulz. The window's only open for another 20 minutes, or just under, isn't it? So those cars that haven't pitted will have to do so soon, and then we'll get a better read on the race. And I'm wondering, Andy Martin is in the pit lane now. Oh, there's a car off at Office, or run out wide at least. Much like a moment to go.
Yeah, again, I don't think we're going to see anything once the dust clears, are we? Unfortunately.
In the UK lately, so therefore it's pretty dusty on the grass and the gravel.
Yeah, I think drivers now that were sort of thinking, oh well, we'll wait until another safety car period, probably possibly ought to be thinking about making that move and making that pit stop now, because time is running out.
Running fuel as well,
That's a big problem, isn't it? So very tight on fuel, I suspect.
So here comes Schulz to lap cam Walton's Toyota. So the gap to James Ramsden is now 4 seconds because he's caught another 6. So Andy Schulz might be passed on the next lap. And that is the second of the stoppers who are waiting for Andy Martin to come out the pit lane. So here comes Schulz over the curve, through the graders, down into the old hairpin. He's not quite using as much road as we saw in some of the sprint races. We need to insert the car to advance the full distance. And there's the leader who's just put a lap of James Ramsden there in 2. And that's the car that Andy Schulz is catching.
That 97 car's got damage, hasn't it? Well, it's got the rear bumper flapping away. Oh, now been driven by Dave Nolan.
Almost driven into there by Paul Cox and Michael Downey. They're all quite busy. Yeah, that rear bumper is trying to escape the car. Well, certainly one side of it is, the other side not too bad, but with half an hour still to go, you'd think it might shake itself loose at some point.
Yeah, you see the Michael Downey car going through, the CW Motorsport event car for the Mark who works in insurance, fifth seat of Western Equipment Jones, inspired by his dad Dave Downey to start racing in this. Dave, his father raced in this until 2019, I think, on his own right.
Downey can take the class championship last year, and the Audi is off at Coppice. I think we've seen dust at Coppice, now we've got a car as well.
The wheel there, the left wheel looks like it's at an interesting angle, which is just there might have been a breakage on that car on the way up the hill towards Coppice. So that's the 27 car of Will Beach. It is now beached, and the Audi RS 3 TCR car is out of the race.
The question is, did it just break by itself, or more likely was there contact at some stage?
Cynic.
Well, TCR cars are built to long distances, therefore they generally don't break without contact. So
no, it might just be a light turner there to dodge it.
That's Scott Parkin's gut.
I think it might be.
Is that at the end of the pit lane?
Just trying to figure out exactly where that is. Looking through the fence, but it does look like it's Starkins Bridge. So it's the number 12 car of Scott Parkin, who was the Class B sort of effective leader earlier on. There's Will Beach getting his helmet off. He's out of the race. So a couple of rapid drivers out of the race in quick succession, it seems. So that's number 12 we think of. And here's number 13, Matt Fazy into the pit lane.
So there is Steve Hewson waiting.
He's only going to get half an hour. He's going to get about a third of or a quarter of the race distance, isn't he? Being a 2 hour and 5 minute race.
Another driver got to take their radio out before getting out of the car. Professional drivers do that as well, so it's not the end of the world. But now out of the driver's seat gets Matt Fazy. The door is shut and then the fuel goes in.
I think you can see on the sort of timer on the steering wheel there, they've got 2 hours 5 minutes programmed in as the race distance, and I think that's same as 30 minutes left to go underneath it, which is about right.
So nothing was ticking away.
It wasn't. It wasn't. But anyway. So Marshall looking at, there's the 13 car, pink and blue, Intelligent Money Racing. Intelligent Money also involved in supporting the British GT Championship as well, of course.
Just taking on a selfie stick. Pit stop there and what?
Yeah. That's something in the background there. Here's a man for selfie stick if ever there was one. I'm glad to see that they've got the fuel tank colour coordinated there to refuel the car and pink tank. That's impressive. So it's going to be Steve Houston that will take over this car for the final 27 minutes of this race by the time he gets in.
Still going slowly is that Lotus Elise of now Steve Brockington, who I can't imagine he was having the best time of his life driving that car at that speed. Here's the Class C leader, Paul Saviani, with Jonathan Hayes, the BMW 318 Ti, up across the line to complete 45 laps for that car.
Yeah, so we've got 28 minutes to go. Not everyone has yet made their stops though. Quickly quick window on the order, nevertheless, that will change. Number 1, Carl Swift leading, 187, George Haler in second place. Third is number 5, Jonathan Packer. He's in class B at the moment. 4th and 13, Steve Houston in the pits. 5th is number 51, Luke Handley. 6th is number 37, Andy Marston. 7th is number 91, Chris Plaskett. 8th is number 100, the Laidlaws. 9th is 191, Oliver Owen. And 10th, haven't made a stop, but 69, Andy Schultz. So he's making progress in the right direction. Class C currently be led by the Hayes and Saviani BMW 318 Ti. That is the number 66 car, isn't it? Originally a compact car, but now with a 2.8 litre engine.
Andy Schultz and Dave Griffin have got past James Ramsden, and Dave Griffin there is the quickest car on the track. He's catching Andy Schultz, he's only a couple of seconds behind. They just got past this car, James Ramsden. In the there's a second place car in Class C, by the way. That's Tim Hartland with Rory Baptiste, who turns his way up through cockpit. And there's Andy Marston, the Class pit stop leader, the Class A pit stop leader. You mentioned he was up there. He's in 5th position and a long way ahead of Sam Laidlaw and Andy Schultz and Dave Griffin. And there's the Jetta G40. I think with Bespoke rear wing on the back. I think that's part of the G40 normally, and that is now driven by Chris Webster. I feel like Chris Webster raced Janettas in the Janetta Championship at one stage.
I'm not sure.
Might be making that up.
That car, 2.5 litre Geotech engine aboard it as well.
It's also not standard.
No.
Good to have a G40 in the championship again.
Yeah. Of course, see the G40s racing in various Ginetta manufacturer championships. Various different guises. 26 minutes of this race left to go. Still quite a few drivers to make their pit stops. They've only got 11 minutes left to do it now.
Matthew Tidmarsh said they've had 3 days in the car since it's been brought out of long-term storage by Chris Webster. So perhaps he did race in the P40 Championship.
You're adding 2 and 2 together there. Maybe 4, yeah.
Racing Nicole Swift is yet to fit, to do so in the next 10 minutes. Same for George Haler. Jonathan Beaton's not going to get much driving. That's sat in the Snetterton paddock for the last couple of days. Part of the Paul Sheard awning of Mazdas. So that car's now been transported to Donington Park, thankfully.
Someone on the YouTube comments was mentioning that they'd seen one of those cars, one of the TCRs at Paul Sheard's premises recently, so that's probably the one we're talking about.
That's absolutely right. So Marston, 55 seconds ahead of Laidlaw. So it's certainly between him and Swift, isn't it, for the win?
You would think so, yes. Strange.
And Andy Schultz has had an issue because Dave Griffin and James Ramsden are ahead of him. This happened at Snetterton last year. He was so quick, and then every now and again there'd be a really slow lap where presumably he had an issue. So Andy Schultz has lost positions, and therefore what is kind of net third is looking good for the Laidlaws again. Meanwhile though, Matt is continuing to be busy in the pit lane, and let's see who he's caught up with next.
Yeah, thanks guys, down here with Matt, who's just jumped out the number 13 machine. Matt, that was a really long stint there, left it right to the last few minutes.
It was. I think they was actually trying to torture me, if I'm honest. That was tough. That was seriously tough. I really thought that he was going to try and... I thought he was going to bring us in below an hour. How long was I out for?
About an hour and 30 minutes.
How long's left of the race?
Just under 30 minutes now.
So Steve's got hardly anything to do. See, that's just typical of him. That really is typical of him. Puts me in for the hard work. Do I get to say hello to people? Oh, well, in which case, anybody who knows me watching, I'm sure Sarah is, hi. And please bear with me tomorrow at work. I'm going to be absolutely knackered. Any other questions you've got?
What do you reckon Steve's going to do now? You're looking at your past position. Do you reckon you can win that?
I hadn't got the data on who had not stopped in our class that's currently ahead of us on track. Was I first in class when I came in?
The boys will be able to tell us upstairs in a bit, but you were up there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the car seems to be going well. It was my first time in that car, so I'm still getting used to her. But it was really, we didn't think that we'd get close to some of the Golfs. So yeah, to have that sort of pace, especially as my first time in the car, I'm quite happy.
Yeah, you're happy, are you? Yeah.
I mean, I think we after my dismal performance in qualifying, I honestly thought that we'd be struggling to get anywhere into the top 15. So to see that we were running something like 4th overall and first in class, I think when I came in, I'm reasonably happy with that. Obviously we'd like to be 2 laps up on everybody, but that's not going to happen.
And I have to say, we've got the onboard camera in your car, some great dance moves through that safety car. We saw it all.
Oh, did you see it? Did you get my hand puppet? Oh, brilliant, good stuff. That was for you, Sarah, that was. The hand puppet was for you.
That's a new career.
Well, to be honest with you, it relieves the boredom, and you always tend to think that when you guys are watching and it's a safety car and we're trundling around like, Aunt Ninny on a Sunday shop, you need something to watch. So I thought, at least if I can entertain you, and I promise you I'll do more of it, and at some point we'll have to get some tunes in the car, get that blasting over the live stream. You can dance at home, I'll dance in the car. It's going to be a much better way to race, I promise.
You'll have your own show.
I hope not. I've got enough to do.
Matt, well done.
Thank you, sir.
There we go, Matt Fazy out the car, and we're going to see what that car can do. He doesn't know where he is, but I'm sure, once again, guys, you can tell us how that machine is getting on in the hands of Steve now.
At Donington Park, Easter Monday, that's where he is. Where is he? They are 15th overall at the moment, and within the class, they are 1, 2, 3, 4th, I think.
But the lead in pit stop.
They are. With the 12th car, which was the car they were racing with very hard for an hour or so, having retired.
Jonathan Packer was about 15 seconds behind early on. He's still out there, not pitted. Here's Sarah Dennis in the Renault Clio as she turns her way round the old hairpin. She runs in 36th overall.
Yeah, marketing manager, started racing in 1997 in Stock Cat, 15 years out, and returned just last season.
Chris Freeman has stopped, I think. He hasn't come through lately. His Golf, he was fairly well up at one point.
Yeah.
So all these Golfs that we heard from there's less of them now, it does seem, because a few of them have stopped around the circuit. 481 there is Edward Christie in his BMW E36 M3, turning there into Coppice Corner. So there's only 5 minutes left before the pit window shuts, and we've got a number of cars inside the top 10 that haven't pitted yet. Andy Schultz, by the way, has got back past James Ramsden, and he's only 6 seconds behind Dave Griffin, so he's trying to catch Dave Griffin. That'd be, I reckon, for net 4th place in the race, behind the Laidlaws, who are 40 seconds up the road, so they could get a podium in their first race in the ClubEnduro. Here's Andy Marston, who's battling for the lead, but his bonnet is flapping about quite a lot there as he headed down into the S's.
Yeah, that's right. So let's see how that pans out. Make sure he's not going to have any problems in the remaining 9.5 minutes left to go in this race. Still quite a good number of cars out there. We have lost several, but we've still got getting on for 40 cars left in this race. Just in the 20 minutes of the race left to go. Green salt car.
He's gone a bit quicker now. He's into the one from to freeze.
Whenever they were their 21st, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. So, let's see. Not many of these 36s left. But it is an E36 that's got the lap record factor, and that has not been beaten in the course of this race.
I don't know why you need to see what's going on in the commentary box, but there you go. There's a shot of what's going on in the commentary box for those of you at home, and this is what we can see out of our window, which is not an awful lot. We do most of our commentary from the screens, as you can see, and we can just about see a few yards of the pit lane. There's the 87 car, the 187 car I should say. That is the George Haler car that has now been handed over, has it not?
Yes.
To Jonathan Beeson.
And it's in a good position. It's inside the top 10 and should get past 3 of the cars that are yet to pit. So it's a good topic back at the back of the grid.
So that will be a good result, I think. They'll be happy with that comeback.
I think they're gaining a place before the end. It's only 3 seconds behind James Ramsden.
Yeah.
Well, the Ramsden is getting quicker now. It's only a couple of seconds off what Ben Rushworth did in that car.
Is Andy Schultz going through? How's he getting on now?
He had that moment when he went off or whatever happened. So he's got back past Ramsden.
Just on his personal best lap as well, hasn't he? 142 dead.
And he's trying to catch Dave Griffin again. David Griffin coming out the hairpin, so we're going to see the gap now to Andy Schultz, comes out the hairpin behind McGann.
And also behind Steve Houston as well in the number 13 Porsche Cayman.
Shane Mack didn't ask him about the penalty we got. Matt Fazy. I'm sure we've got an interesting answer to that.
Oh, there was an interesting answer to any questions, including some that weren't asked.
The MTT still going after problems. We're down in 24 for Ryan Parkin.
Yeah, there he is now. The number 11 in the car, was started by Adam Blair. Just behind him is the Flight Tangerine Racing Chris Webster Janetta.
Right, the leader's in the pits, I reckon.
Well, he didn't have a lot of choice, because if he left it another lap, he would have been sort of dicing with it being up against the 15-minute pit window closing.
And the car's back out the pit. So there's Cole Swift. So where's Andy Marston? Is he behind or ahead? Not sure.
I'm going to try and piece all of this together in a few moments. There goes the Laidlaw car just out over the line. You can just see that. We can see that out of our window as well. There's the ECU Racing Yaris, Cam Walton, pedalling that solo. We'll be very interested to find out what Cam's made of this in Rage Bit. Seems to touch wood, being reliable. It's the 50 cars running in 20th position overall. Of course, this is in Class A, that's because it's on power to weight, and I imagine that the Yaris weighs quite a lot less than some of the other cars in that class as well. Smaller car in stature.
I guess it's still quite a big car for what it is, isn't it? Like compared to the Civic alongside it.
But Yaris are bigger than they used to be.
Yeah, exactly. So Cole Swift's come through, he is still leading. So I think he might have an extended margin, if anything, over Andy Marston. Here's the Class C leader.
Yeah, with something training. I think it's just the bodywork, isn't it? Or bumper training from the back of the 66 car. Paul Saviano, the Canon Racing car. Ronnie Hayes had that first part of the race.
20 seconds is the lead gap between Swift and Marston.
That should be enough, shouldn't it, I would think?
Yeah.
For Carl Swift, which is quite something really when you consider what happened at that second restart, which was a bizarre off at Redgate Corner.
So presumably Jonathan Packer and Luke Handley are also in the pits. So therefore shortly we will get a read on if Steve Houston is leading Class B. The Class C leader just goes through there. Paul Saviani with a good gap over Tim Hartland, and third in that class is the Mini. The Mini Cooper S now driven by Matthew George, who I want to say is a full British GT driver, Matt George.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I did note that down earlier on. Where did I note that? Yeah, British GT, Euro GT4, ADAC GT Masters as well. So very experienced driver.
Snuck in with that professional driving championship.
Yes, there's a few that I think could, you know, maybe by the letter of the regulations they don't get one, but they're certainly, you know, very experienced and quick drivers. He describes his occupation as a, you know, performance and development driver, so it's his occupation.
Well worked, not the professional for this championship.
Yes. Number 70's got a 5-second penalty now as well. That's the car's now been driven by Steve Hutchison, that was started by Hammy Venables, but he's winning now in 17th.
So shortly we should get a full read down on the order once the Packer and Handley stops are completed.
Yes, because we've got 13.5 minutes left to go in this race.
So Hewson came through 3 minutes and 22 seconds behind Jonathan Packer. 3 minutes in the pits, plus running down the pit lane, stopping, pushing the car back out again onto the stop. Might be quite close, I'd imagine. So we'll find this out very shortly. Wait for Volkswagen and Porsche drivers to make their way to the end of the lap. I think that was Hewson in the background, down towards the S's. So in about half a minute we should get a read on that. Here's our Class C leader, Paul Saviani, and I'm not sure if we've seen that car right at the sharp end of Class C recently.
There is the 67 car, Julian McBride. Where's Julian running? 15th. We've not really seen much of him during the course of this race. The Jeff Steele Racing prepared car, S55 3-litre engine for the 54-year-old sales director. Started racing the M3 Cup in 2016, but decided he was more suited to long distance racing. It's a disabled driver as well, so there's quite a lot of adaptations to that car to enable him to race. And the TUP Lotus has finally called it a day as well, by the looks of it.
Yes, that's somehow lasted almost the whole race. So Steve Hewson has gone through and leads by 2.9 seconds, but you had this 5-second penalty to overcome over Jonathan Packer. So the Class B lead battle is very much on. So 2.9 seconds, Hewson to Packer. There's only 10 more seconds back to Luke Handley. So the top three in Class B are separated by very little. But on sort of aggregate with the penalty, Jonathan Packer is in front on times.
Just looking at the car on the circuit, on screen now, the 100 car, Steve Laidlaw and Sam Laidlaw. That's been a good performance from the two of them. Running in third place overall. Sort of thick end of a lap the leaders now, but nevertheless they're doing themselves well.
Absolutely, their first race here, ClubEnduro Championship. I don't think Sam Laidlaw's done that much racing before now, and there's a car off a copy, and
it's the Marsden car, isn't it? Marsden, I should say.
That's it, yeah. From 7th. They had just been passed by Jonathan Beeson for 6th.
Yes, so that's Can't Bet Rushworth started. James Ramsden has taken it over. Coulson Miller prepared. Set there on TCR.
Just looking here, Julian McBride, who you were talking about a moment ago. Great new livery on that car. And he turns his way just behind the Laidlaws we were talking about.
I think he sat out most of 2021, didn't he? Julian McBride. Not seen too much from over the past couple of years. Worth a quick rundown on the top 10. Now, number 1, it is Carl Swift leading by 21 seconds on number 37, Andy Martin in 2nd place. In 3rd place is number 100, Sam Laidlaw. In 4th place is number 34, Dave Griffin. In 5th place is number 69, Andy Schultz. In 6th place is number 187, Jonathan Beeson. In 7th place, number 2, James Ramsden. 8th place is number 44, David Trigg. 9th place is number 43, Steve Cheetham. 10th leading Class B, but not corrected times, just the moment is number 13, Steve Hewson. 11th and second in Class B is number 5, Donington Packer. Third in Class B at 12th overall is number 51, Luke Handley. In Class C is number 66, Paul Subiani, that is ahead, 28th place overall, 29th. And second in Class C is number 98, that's Tim Hartland. And third and 30th overall is the Matt George Mini Coupe S that he is sharing with Neville Jones.
The Class C battle isn't that close at the moment, and there's not long to go. But Matt George is lapping massively quicker than the two in front. He's 5 seconds faster than Tim Hartland, and on the last lap 9 seconds faster than Paul Saviani. He's a minute behind the leader, so even at that rate of catch, it's not quick enough, is it? But Matt George is pushing on in the Mini. But interestingly, in this race, no lap records have been broken, and we're about second off, I think, in each of the classes for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know what the reason is. I don't think anything's particularly changed in the regulations that would necessarily change things too much. But it's been competitive down the field. There's been battles all the way downfield. Is that the Ramsden car looked to be coming a little bit slowly out of Goddard that time?
Just
all right.
Just behind the Class C new leader, because Paul Saviani has been off. So Tim Hartland has taken the lead of Class C and is 10 seconds ahead of Paul Saviani, and then Matt George is only another 20 seconds back, going much quicker. So the Class C battle may not yet be over. Here is the Class C leader, just behind the Class B leader actually, being lapped. So we look at the Class B leader there, Steve Houston on the road. There's Jonathan Packer, who's the Class B leader in reality. And there's Rory Baptiste, who is the Class C leader on the road and in time as well.
Well, it's Tim Hartland, we think, aboard that car now. Rory Baptiste that started it. Tim Hartland, well, both have raced Golf GTR Mark IIs together. Hartland and Baptiste. Hartland at the wheel at the moment, also raced a few races in the hot patch last year as well.
So John Packer is getting closer to Steve Houston, so it's kind of showing this penalty is overhanging them, isn't it? Because otherwise this would be probably nothing to fight about.
It was for the last 7 minutes of the race. I'm just having a look. It's going to go on, yeah. Unless Biani has another offer, George is going to catch him. No, I wouldn't have thought so. Just having a look at that back for second. Let's see, because I don't think it's going to go anywhere other than Tim Hartland now, unless he has a problem himself.
Then the race leader, Cole Swift, he's now 25 seconds ahead of Andy Marston's BMW. Those two have been the clear of the pack during the course of this race.
Yeah, it says on the side of the car it's C. Swift and R. Baker, but Rob Baker not driving the car today. He seems to be focusing on the team management duties at Area Motorsport. So, and that is the 70 car that's off, isn't it? That's the car of Steve Hutchinson, the Elite Works car, started by Sammy Venables. Yeah, we're just looking for a safe place, but it's such a busy circuit. There's not many gaps in the traffic for it to rejoin. Oh, and the 481 car also in strike. That's Edward Christie's E36 M3, the Class B car, the 70 car back into the race. And there the 481 car just about to rejoin. Oh, they're all off. They are all off now. This is the number 10 car. That's the Andrew Howard car. Andrew Howard's car's going to stop the car that was started by Rob Fennick.
Christie for the pits.
Yeah, didn't have too far to get there, did he?
That Class C battle, Paul Saviani's going quicker now. He's catching Tim Hartland again. There's only 5 seconds between them. As Andrew Howard in his Beach Dean Ovals gets out of the car. It nearly made the end, that one.
It did, which would have been impressive.
Yes.
5 minutes to go.
Oh, another Lotus in strike. Here is the car that was driven. It's driven by Tom Gladys, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not going at full rack power, is it?
There's Dave Griffin. He's had a really good run. I think he had a slower pit stop, but up there in 4th place in the E90 car, the only E90 racing M3 I think we've really got in the country. Not many of them anyway.
Well, he is certainly emerging from credit on this race, isn't he? Along with the Laidlaws as well as someone who got a star next to the name of. They've had a good performance. And Andy Schultz certainly had a good trot. Not the fastest lap, hasn't he?
The 2 Class C leaders are separated by half a second now. So Tim Hartland has been caught by Paul Saviani. So that's strange. A long lap, wasn't it, for Saviani? There's Matt George in 3rd across the line. So here are the 2 leaders then, absolutely together in Class C. Tim Hartland ahead of Paul Saviani, so it's 3:30 ahead of 3:18 TI here. Yeah, they're still 20 seconds ahead of Matt George, so he's not going to catch them.
I wonder if they pitted to take that bodywork that was trailing off, or if they had to for the black and orange flag. Possible, it's not there now.
Yeah, so perhaps, about half a minute longer.
And check flags out a little bit early with cars stranded around the circuit, so the win will go to Carl Swift then in the Seat Leon TCR. Second, well, there he is. He's just taken the check flag with about 3.5 minutes early.
I'm not sure if he knows it.
Well, no, it's Carl Swift who'll be pushing on just in case that was an apparition. Second will go the way of Andy Martin, and then yet to finish will be the 3rd place car. Here's the back of Class C.
Yeah, going to change around the outside into the S's on the front lap of the race. Can Paul Saviani get made the best exit? So can Tim Hartland fight back down towards the Melbourne Loop for a last lap change for a win in the class? And it's in the class that didn't have overly many cars compared to the other 2.
No.
But very competitive.
2 BMWs proving an even match, but yeah, I can't help but feel that must have been a late pit stop for the Hazen Spiani, the Canet racing car. We saw it with that trailing bodywork. It's not got it now. It lost the class lead. It's got it back now from Tim Hartland. They're going to come out of the final corner, and it's going to be then the Paul Spiani car that comes through, shared with Johnny Hayes, to win Class C of the CGR ClubEnduro Championship.
And that's their first win in the championship.
And it certainly is, and they'll be delighted with that. A great comeback on the last lap there. Carl Swift winning the race overall. Has Class B been through? Yet to be decided.
I think Lucas Cole Swift is going to take the flag for a second time.
He is, so that will mean it on correct answer is going to be Jonathan Packer, isn't it, that wins Class B, because he was only just under a second behind Steve Hewson on the road in the Porsche Cayman, but Hewson had that 5-second penalty to bear from what Matt Fazy incurred in the first part of the race.
Yes, so
track limits.
So Matt's got to try and explain that to Steve, hasn't he, why they haven't won the race.
He gets all the best jobs, doesn't he? Just Matt circling down in the pit lane. Hopefully there'll be some officials there also to explain what's going on. A dramatic race, really. Carl Swift really coming back to win that race, when at one point my heart was in my mouth and I thought he was going to be in the wall at Redgate.
Yes, and let's take a look at those results then for the first round of the TDI ClubEnduro Championship.
Right, deep breath, this could take a while. The winner, number 1, Carl Swift. Second, number 37, Andy Marston. Third, number 100, the Laidlaws, father and son. Fourth was Dave Griffin, and another good drive from him. Fifth, and also on the lead lap, from the last car on the lead lap, Andy Schultz had taken over from Matt Hampson. A good performance from the back of the grid for George Haler and Jonathan Beeson. Ben Rushworth and James Ramsden in 7th place for number 2. 8th, number 44, Trigg and Dayburn Lotus Exige. 9th, 43, Steve Cheetham in the Porsche Boxster. 10th there on your screen, Steve Hewson and Matt Fazy in the Porsche Cayman. They won't have won Class B though. Jonathan Packett in 11th place will have done, because he doesn't have a 5-second penalty attached to his name. 12th to number 51, Luke Handley, and another front-running Class B car, the Chris Plaskett Golf GTI as well, 16th place overall. A little bit further back, see if we can see who finished outside the top 20. Well, there we can see the confirmation of the Class C result, and less than a second between number 66 and number 98 there. 66, Johnny Hayes and Paul Saviani taking their first Class C victory in ClubEnduro from Roy Baptiste and Tim Hartland, and Matt George and Neville Jones with their Mini. And now we're into the cars that perhaps didn't make it all the way to the end. Some of these did. Sarah Dennis and James Miller. James Miller making his race debut. Sarah Dennis, something of a comeback, but we lost Scott Parkin quite a few laps from the end in the number 12 car. He was contending for the Class B victory. There we can see in the background the Beach and Bryce car that came to rest at Coppice Corner. No progress for the Together We Progress car this weekend to speak of. And more cars here that unfortunately didn't make it to the end with various mechanical issues and accidents that they picked up along the way. And the car that got least far was the Scirocco GT24 of John Maudsley and Stuart Mead. I'm afraid to say hopefully we'll see them back out next time with the Tequila ClubEnduro Championship. That is going to be at Croft at the end of May. So we'll look forward to seeing the Tequila ClubEnduro Championship back in action then. Still, although it's 25 to 6, 3 more races to go here at Donington Park today. We've got RLM Racing Bike Sports Championship up next, then 750 Race Club Formula V and the Toyota MR2 Championship to round out the day. But in just a moment or two we'll head downstairs. Matt Suckling will be there ready and waiting to talk to our top 3. So Matt, it's down to you.
And here, Steve, many congratulations. We spoke to Matt after his pit stop. He was very enthusiastic about how he'd done and hoping for you to do the same, and you did exactly that. Well done on Class B victory.
Thank you. I think we met on this one yet, but I mean, great fun race. Matt did really well because we didn't get any traffic, didn't get through any traffic in quali, so I'd say really our quali performance wasn't representative of the car, but yeah, he pulled it well back together on the race, and then really it was just a question of trying to hold it ahead and stay ahead of the area Golfs for the end of the race.
Do you know why you got the penalty at all?
I suspect it was the track limits. From my enthusiastic partner Matt.
We were keeping an eye. I think you might have pulled 5 seconds, but of course the race a little bit early finish there, so I didn't quite catch what happened. But a good race anyway. Yeah,
I'm not 100% where we landed, but yeah, great fun race. Brilliant to be back into the championship again.
And what is it like to drive the Porsche as well?
It's fantastic. I mean, everything's in the right place. They're designed to do this job. So yeah, it really is. It's a great car. We raced it a bit last year. We had a good result at Alton, and we raced with a couple of other clubs as well last year. Really while we were developing it. And yeah, no, really happy with it. It's a fantastic thing.
Good stuff. Well done, Steve. Well done, Matt, as well. Congratulations to both you for the class victory there. Let's have a quick chat with our Class C victor as well. Let's have a quick chat. Both of you want to come in. It's entirely fine. Well done there. Congratulations. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we were just sort of pacing most of the way, and then we had to come into the pits because we had a nudge from somebody and the rear diffuser was loose. So we came in, mad dash, and obviously dropped a second, and I thought, right, this is more fun. Let's give it some. Yeah. So the poor little thing, I was absolutely thrashing it, but just in the nick of time, just down off McLean's, I think it was, got on the inside, and here we go.
Yeah, a couple of corners from end. Checker flag, of course, came out. You got it done, but a great race.
Yeah, it was brilliant. The weather's been nice. So on our little trusty shopping car's done it again.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations. We'll now have a quick chat with our race winner and Class A winner as well, which is Carl Swift. Carl, well done. Nice to see you again. Many questions for you. First off, what happened after the second safety car restart down at the first corner?
I underestimated the width of the oil slick, and I was too busy looking in my mirror, so absolute sideways, well, backwards into that first corner. 4 or 5 came past, and it was hard work, but fun. Getting back up there, and then Andy kept the pressure on for God knows how long. That was an awesome race. First hour was just unbelievable.
What a save, though. Save of the day, I think, and you must have been lucky to get on that gravel trap.
Yeah, lucky to get out of the gravel trap, and I had 2 back wheels that were like flat spotted to death, so I was just shaking my eyeballs out for the whole 2 hours, but luckily they held out.
The other question is, you're doing it solo today. That's another punishment, isn't it, for 2 hours?
It is, yeah. It's a while since I've done 2 hours, since we did 24 hours, because I was shared with Rob. But he's at TCR UK, well, was at TCR UK most of today, looking after 3 cars there, so he didn't make it back in time for quali to do his 3 laps.
Yeah. Apart from that, great race for you, great job. As you said, Andy was on your tail in the BMW, but the pit stops came around, it all kind of shaked itself out.
It did, yeah, a bit of a breather then, and the brakes came back and the tyres came back, so it was nice for the last 15 minutes.
Well, good stuff. You look like you've worked hard, but well done.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Good stuff. Well done, Carl Swift there, taking victory then in the first of the Tagiwa ClubEnduro Championship races of the year here at Donington Park. And we can't wait till the next one. It's going to be hopefully just as action-packed with as many cars as well. Back to sprint racing next, because it's the second race of the day for the RLMM Racing Bike Sports Championship.
Yes, and it's going to be a 20-minute race for the RLM Racing Bike Sports Championship coming up next. The grid for this race based on the second fastest times from qualifying this morning. We had a race earlier on. That was won by Richard Wise from Joe Locke and Simon Ward-Hansel with an early checkered flag due to the car of Jules Griffiths being stranded at a Redgate corner. But to say, this grid based on the second fastest lap times, although it's got a similar look to the grid that we had for race 1. So on pole position it's number 88 Richard Wise, and alongside it's number 1 Leon Morel, who had some, we think, electrical issues in the first one, which dropped into 5th. On the second row it's number 4 on the inside and 87 on the outside, so that's Simon Ward-Hansel and Jack Lees. Jack Lees didn't make it out for race 1, so we'll see if it's there this time. Row 3 is number 8 Joe Locke and number 7 Julian Griffiths. Julian Griffiths hopefully has dug himself out of the gravel at Redgate. Row 4, 5 and 73 Doug Carter and Alistair Smart. Row 5 is 86 Stephen Bell and 12 Andrew Fido. Row 6 is 20 Matt Moore and 30 Mark Grayson. On to row 7, that's 11 Philip Brown and 16 Ash Hickton, a bit further back than we might expect to see him. The 8th row is 66 Rich Hardy and 24 Ian Charles. Row 9 is 33 Lee Jackson and 29 Andy Tidy. And I think we should have one more car at the back, and that is an important one because it's Joe Stables this time taking over the number 95 Radical PR6 from Father Richard, who raced it in the earlier contest. And let's just have a short break before we look ahead to the RLM Racing Bike Sports Championship. Well, Jack Lees has very obligingly put a comment on the YouTube feed to say, no, I'm at home. So Jack Lees isn't going to be out there for race 2, unfortunately, which is a shame for him. We're looking forward to seeing him make his bike sports debut. What do you reckon we can expect from this one then, Josh?
Well, Joe Stable's probably driving through from the back, I suspect. His lap record, or his lap times, I should say, from last year was sort of 2 to 3 seconds faster than what we saw earlier. So he should be able to do that in 20 minutes.